Fairy Tale, The Three Sacred Magic. Chapter 1. The fields are full of life. Hard-working farmers are working hard. Behind them, besides the crisscrossing villages, there is also a towering castle. A black-haired and black-eyed boy was quietly thinking on top of the castle. Where am I? Is this the medieval West? No, the hair colors are too mixed. I can understand black, yellow, and red. What the hell is the green-haired guy across the street? Hal looked at the villagers working under the castle in confusion. The green-haired man is the village chief. Your Highness Hal, please return to the royal city as soon as possible. It's not safe here. The soldiers reported that there was a dragon attack in the south. The old man in cloth clothes next to him reminded softly. So the yellow-haired beauty next to him is the daughter of the village chief? Wait, what did you say? Dragon. Hal was still looking at the beauty and suddenly realized that there are dragons in this world? Yes, Your Highness Hal, please leave this country castle as soon as possible and take a carriage back to the royal city. The voice of the old man in cloth clothes was still unhurried. After speaking, before Hal wanted to answer, several soldiers suddenly appeared behind him and carried Hal away. Hal was confused now, but not completely confused. He was facing the old man in cloth clothes in the carriage and thinking, he is Minjayun, my housekeeper since childhood. I came here to use the newly learned magic to help the villagers and improve my reputation by the way. Wait, how do I know this? Wasn't I just at the door of the convenience store? I'm from Earth. Did I transmigrate? But why? Could it be that the jade from the fortune teller at the door of the convenience store is real? Hal was originally from Earth. He suddenly wanted to cook a meal at home this morning, so he decided to go to the convenience store to buy some eggs or something. As a result, he was stopped by the fortune teller at the door. He insisted that he had the appearance of an emperor, and then gave him a red jade. To be honest, Hal felt that the jade was fake at first glance. How could there be such a red jade? But the old man said that it was free and only given to those who were destined, so Hal took it. Hal actually doubted it but not completely, so he followed the traditional virtue of respecting the elderly and loving the young, said thank you, and walked away. The next second, he was hit and flew 5 meters away and died on the spot. So, is this thing a curse? I took it for less than 30 seconds and I was dead. Hal looked solemnly at the old man Minjayun opposite him, thinking secretly in his heart. Forget it, I'll think about it when no one is around. The jade is still on my neck. Don't ask how I got it up there. I've already flown 5 meters. It's reasonable for the jade to find a rope to hang it up. Butler Minjayun, is the dragon really coming? What about those villagers? Don't we need to remind them to run away? Hal asked the old man in front of him. In fact, Hal had already received the memory. He was just a little worried about those villagers, especially the yellow-haired sister, who was really beautiful. Don't worry, Your Highness. The village guards will notify you. Your top priority now is to return to the royal city as soon as possible. The royal city is absolutely safe with Lord Earth Dragon in it, Minjayun said slowly. Earth Dragon, Hal tried to retrieve his memory. Although he had received all the memories now, he still felt a little bit distinct. After all, the original Hal was dead, and King Hal was the owner of this body now. Earth Dragon? Earth Dragon Visroal, oh yes, this is a magical world. Earth Dragon Visroal is a good friend of Hal's father, responsible for protecting Bosco from the war between dragons. Hal's memory became clearer and clearer, and he was almost completely integrated into his original body now. Bosco is located in the east of Fairy Tale, which is the eastern country of the Kingdom of Fiori. It appeared in episode 294 of the anime, and was later annihilated by the eastern troops of Albaraz, the Magister Guild of the whole country. Hal was thinking about this world and what he would do next in the carriage. The carriage slowly drove towards the royal city in the north. In the south, the ground was full of corpses, and the vibrant fields and hard-working farmers turned into scorched earth and minced meat. In the sky, the dragons were flying wantonly, declaring that dragons were the masters of this world. Your Highness Hal, please get off the carriage. His Majesty and Lord Earth Dragon want to see you. The old man Minjayun's voice sounded hurriedly, and Hal's expression showed a hint of surprise. In his impression, this old man had almost no such big emotional fluctuations since he was a child. In fact, Hal already understood that this is the world of Fairy Tale. Because the dragons and magic circles in this world look almost exactly the same as in his memory. This was his favorite anime, but he still has a little uncertainty now, because this world is too backward. The farmers just now and the housekeepers now are dressed in clothes, and even the so-called royal city shows the backwardness of productivity. The most important thing is that Hal clearly remembers the plot very clearly. He loves this anime, this work, and the touching moments it brings him, but now, he can't remember some names and plots at all, only vague impressions. Why is this? I clearly remember it very clearly, why is it so vague when I think about it, my memory? What's wrong? Hal thought while walking. He couldn't understand this situation. Knowing the plot was a great weapon for him, but now he has lost it, and the very discordant world makes him feel very uneasy. Stepping up the last step, Hal met his father the Emperor and the Earth Dragon Viceroy, whom he had never met on the top floor of the royal castle. You are here, my son. I want to give you a task. This matter determines the survival of our Bosco country, said the old Emperor Hatch with a heavy sigh. Huh? What's going on? Hal couldn't understand what happened. I just came and the country is going to perish? Then what's the point of me crossing over to become a prince? After thinking about it, he felt the red jade on his chest. This broken jade is not finished, right? My son, soon Fusler will take you to a place, practice for a year and then come back. You are already 13 years old. As the only heir to the kingdom, it's time to shoulder the burden of the kingdom, said the old Emperor Hatch quietly. Yes, my father, Hal agreed to the old Emperor Hatch with familiar and unfamiliar royal etiquette and speaking methods. Although he didn't know what happened, in his memory, the old emperor was really good to him and couldn't hurt him. Come up, son of Hachi, I will take you to the western mountains to practice, and come back in a year. The Earth Dragon Fusler lowered his head and looked at Hal. The amazing size and the terrifying power in his body made Hal's heart tremble. Hal just rode on the back of the Earth Dragon, and Hal's luggage and a lot of items were on his back. It seems that the old emperor and the Earth Dragon have a really good relationship, Hal thought. Hal had not seen the Earth Dragon much since he was a child, because the Earth Dragon only had a good relationship with the old emperor. It was only when Hal was 11 years old that he first practiced magic and developed a great affinity and talent for light attribute magic, and then he saw the Earth Dragon for the first time. Hal, you have to inherit my magic, inherit my power, inherit the country of Bosco, and when the time is right, return to the royal city and open the underground door. That is the key for your father and I to restore the country of Bosco, said the Earth Dragon Fusler to Hal. Restore the country? What happened? Is the Persco kingdom going to perish? Hal was confused again. Things were developing too fast and he couldn't think straight. The dragon forces that hate humans have already reached the Persco kingdom. We dragons who are close to humans have to give up this place. The people are already fleeing. Your father decided to defend his country and his people in the royal city. The Earth Dragon Fuselo explained. This? Hal couldn't help but look back. Behind him, the huge royal city almost disappeared from his sight, so much so that he couldn't help but feel a huge sadness in his heart. I'm here. This is the last child, and the child I chose. I think these children also need a brother to lead them to complete your plan. So, for my sake, please accept him. This is the child of my best friend. The Earth Dragon Fusler leaned down to let Hal down, and bowed his head to the 5 dragons and said. No need, my best friend Fusler, your life is coming to an end. This is your last wish. We will agree to it. Igneel said to Fusler. In the following days, Hal practiced with the 5 children in the forest. There was a blonde sister who took care of their food, clothing, housing, and transportation. Hal didn't need to do that, but the other children were too young. Hal learned from the days they spent together that a boy with cherry hair was called Natsu, a black-haired frizzy monster was called Gajeel, a blue-haired little sister was called Wendy, another pair of black-haired smooth hair was called Rogue, white hair was called Stinger, and a blonde sister was called Anna. Hal practiced with them for a year and also solved the secret of his ruby. Chapter 2. In the forest, Hal and the 5 children practiced day after day. Under the guidance of the Earth Dragon Fusler, he not only trained his body and mind, but also learned various magic. Hal was confused and curious about his new abilities, especially the right to choose given to him by the ruby. Yes, the right to choose. Hal felt the power of the ruby in his heart, and he began to miss the stinky old man. He didn't expect that this guy was a real treasure. One night, Hal sat alone by the campfire, holding the mysterious ruby in his hand. The surface of the ruby began to glow slightly, and Hal felt a strange energy flowing into his body. Suddenly, a message flashed through his mind, which was an unexpected choice for him. Choose your destiny, the power of life or the power of death. As if the gods were whispering, Hal felt a strong gaze. Hal hesitated for a moment. Only children make choices. I want them all. He felt a strong force pouring into his left and right hands. The black and gold light of the left hand represents the power of the desert fruit, symbolizing the ultimate power of death. The white light of the right hand symbolizes the power of the immortal body and the wood escape, representing the ultimate power of life. At this moment, Hal understood the secret of the red jade. This is a divine weapon that can travel through the world, giving the holder the ability to choose the power of different worlds. Is it a bit hasty? But the power is very strong. I like it very much. Hal was happy at first and then confused. Who is that old man? How did he know that I like these two abilities? But no matter what, with these two powers and my power of the earth dragon, he can almost walk sideways in the world of fairy tale. Yes, the power of the earth dragon. Hal has learned this dragon-killing magic from Fusilar's hands or dragon claws. The so-called earth dragon can use the power of the earth to attack and restore physical strength and magic power. In other words, as long as he stands on the earth, he is almost invincible. Of course, the premise is that he is strong enough. Now he is still a little picker, at least compared with other dragons. Wait, won't my power be watched by the dragon group? How should I explain this power? Hal suddenly came to his senses. This power is very strong. He didn't know how to explain it to the dragon group. However, after a few days, the dragon group did not ask him any questions, as if nothing had happened, but Natsu, the little picker, liked to come and provoke again. Hal, watch out! The iron fist of the fire dragon. Natsu rushed over with his fist, and then Hal dodged lightly, and his fist hit the tree, and a black fist mark appeared on the tree. Hey, little Natsu, what's wrong? Why are you so excited these 2 days? Hal was actually very confused. They had a very good relationship a while ago, but he didn't know what happened these 2 days. He wanted to treat him to a delicious and big fire dragon's iron fist when he met. Hehe, I feel that you have become stronger secretly. Have you been eating delicious food recently? Little Natsu looked indignant, as if he had suffered a great loss. Hal was puzzled when he heard this. Even Natsu felt it. How could the dragons not notice it? Why is this? Don't try to play dumb, watch my punch. Natsu saw Hal's puzzled face and thought Hal was fooling him, so he rushed up again with his fists. Hal sent him away with a punch, thinking that maybe Natsu's intuition was more accurate. After all, he was Natsu, and there was a more powerful force in his body. Of course, if it weren't for the ruby, Hal wouldn't feel it. He couldn't remember the plot and didn't think that Natsu had the power of end in his body. There were only Natsu and Gajeel in the nearby forest. The other 3 children were too young and were all training with their dragons. They rarely met. Speaking of dragons, Hal had recently felt that Fusilar had been getting weaker and weaker. Hal remembered the plot in his previous life, but he couldn't remember it now. He only knew that the dragons would meet them again, so Hal was not too worried. Hal, come here, I have something to tell you. At this time, Fusilar's voice sounded in his mind. Was it something like telepathy? This was the first time Fusilar communicated with Hal in this way. Hal flew up, with golden light magic on his body. This was a way of moving that consumed a lot of magic power. Hal could only move about 10 kilometers before his magic power was exhausted. Note, Makaro fused this way of moving in the early stage of fairy tale, but he didn't use it later. I think it was partly due to funding reasons. Part of it may be that the president is not a member of the main character group after all. Flying over the woods and arriving at a lake, Hal saw Fusilar, who looked like a mountain sitting next to the lake, but it seemed that his magic was about to disappear. Fusilar, what's wrong with your body? Hal asked anxiously. In his impression, Fusilar would not lie on the ground so weakly. Child, you are here, the time is coming, I will leave soon, and I will give you my last gift next. Fusilar's tone was reluctant. No, Fusilar, didn't you say that you would take me to save the kingdom in a year? My father, my people, I have been waiting for a year. Hal's tone was sad and puzzled. Hal, you can't save the kingdom and people in this era. The black dragon is too powerful. He has torn apart almost all the dragons. Everything happened too fast. You have learned my dragon-killing magic. If you continue like this, you will be found and killed by the black dragon. Your goal now is the future. Fusiliuo recounted what happened in the past year. Their biggest enemy changed from a group of dragons that hated humans to a black dragon, an evil dragon Aknologia that almost killed all the dragons. What? Black dragon? Hal's memory suddenly emerged. He knew this dragon, but his memory was vague. He could only kneel on the ground with his head covered in pain. Child, don't be sad. Carry my dragon-killing crystal to the future. Only in the future will there be a glimmer of hope to defeat the black dragon. Fusiliuo looked at Hal lovingly. After a year of getting along and caring about him every moment when he was a child, he really treated his best friend's child as his own child. Thinking of this, he no longer hesitated, his eyes became firm, and the last trace of magic power in his body turned into golden light, bringing out the dragon-killing crystal in his body and giving it to Hal, who was kneeling on the ground in pain. Go, child, I believe in you. Since a year ago, your body has possessed powerful power, as well as your innate unparalleled light magic talent. I believe in you, Hal Michidoya Saint, the heir of the Bosco Empire. After saying this, Fusilier disappeared, turning into magic and dissipating in the air. No. Fusilier Hal almost covered his face and cried. In this year, he almost completely became the Hal of this world. He had his responsibilities and obligations. He almost regarded Fusilier as his guide and spiritual sustenance. Hal fainted just like that, because the dragon-killing crystal of the Earth Dragon was merging with him. At the same time, Natsu and others were also receiving magic, and their dragons also disappeared. A few days later, Anna gathered Hal and the 5 children together. She solemnly informed them that their practice was about to end, as they were about to cross the time gate and go to a different era. Anna explained to the children that this was to complete an important mission, and their power would be the key to saving the future. Under Anna's guidance, Hal and the 5 children stood in front of the time gate. The door exuded a strong magical light, colorful and full of mysterious power. Just as they were about to enter the door, Hal felt the magic power in his body begin to run wild. At the same time, the magic power of other children also overflowed uncontrollably, and the time gate became unstable. Hal was pulled by a powerful force, and he felt that he was being torn into pieces. Then, the world became blurred, and time and space began to distort. When he opened his eyes again, he found himself lying in a strange place, surrounded by a completely unfamiliar environment. His memory was blank, and he had no idea who he was and where he came from. Fortunately, this power was offset by the red jade, which seemed to be a sequelae of crossing the time gate. Hal's eyes were full of confusion and sadness. He truly realized that he was Hal at this moment. His sadness and pain might have been sneered at by his previous life, but now he has really lived with Fusilier for a year, and his teachings are still in his heart. He is like his grandparents. Hal's kind eyes before leaving made Hal heartbroken. He knew that he really had to start his life again. In this strange and familiar magical world. In the next few days, Hal wandered aimlessly in this new world, and he found himself in a country called Fiori. Great, it seems that I didn't run far. As long as I'm near Fiori, I'm not far from the fairy tale guild. Hal was very happy to think of this. He missed that warm and affectionate guild too much. Hal's memory is very strange. He just can't remember the specific plot, but he didn't forget many things, such as the fairy tale guild, such as Natsu, but what happened to him later? What story was told? He had no memory of it at all, it was almost all fuzzy. Maybe it was a small seal made by a strange god to let him start his life again. At least this expectation and yearning did not change. Hal really wanted to join Fairy Tale, which was his only spiritual salvation as an orphan in the real world. Chapter 3. On the small road in the forest, Hal sat on a purple pig cart and talked with the merchant driving the pig cart to learn about the things in this world. It is worth mentioning that Hal was walking on the road, but the merchant saw that Hal's clothes were simple and luxurious, and his face was as bright as jade, so he insisted on taking him with him. Ha 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 ha, the most important thing for a businessman is to look at people. I can tell at a glance that the little brother is not a human, not an ordinary person. The old merchant talked to Hal very familiarly. Hal's clothes are indeed a bit special. After all, he brought all the clothes that his emperor father gave him to wear in the royal family before he left. Although it is old compared to this era, it can be seen that he is not an ordinary person. Of course, this is the only one. It is impossible to travel through the time gate with luggage. Ha 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 ha, Uncle, you are really interesting. My name is Hal. I am going to the city ahead, Magnolia, to be a magician. Thank you for giving me a ride. Hal liked this familiar uncle very much. He was as kind as the convenience store owner in his previous life. So you are a magician, ha 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 ha, then it's better to go to the best magician guild in Magnolia, Fairy Tale. They are an old guild, established for more than 100 years. When I was young, I often heard my elders say that this guild saved our city. I have liked it since I was a child, but unfortunately I don't have the talent for magic. The familiar uncle told all kinds of stories about the guild. It's just right. I will introduce you to President Makarov. He is a magician I have admired since I was a child. He is also one of the 10 strongest magicians on the continent rated by the council. When I provided food and drinks to the guild before, it was he who recommended me. Ha 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 ha. The uncle seemed super proud of coming early, and Hal didn't dare to interrupt him. By the way, my name is Ika, a trustworthy merchant known to everyone in Magnolia. If you have anything to purchase in the future, tell me and I will give you a discount, brother Hal. Hal didn't expect that the old uncles he met on the road were all merchants of the Fairy Tale Guild. It was really that God felt that Fairy Tale and I had a destiny. He couldn't help but be very happy and came to the door of the guild with Uncle Ika talking and laughing. In the town of Magnolia in Fiore, Hal saw the Fairy Tale Guild. It was a magnificent building, decorated like a small castle. Hal stood at the door and took a deep breath. Let's go, brother Hal, they are probably still very noisy at this time, I'll take you in. Uncle Ika opened the door happily and flew out. Hal behind him twitched his mouth, quickly helped him up, and looked inside the guild. Good man, you call this noisy? This is a paradise for people, you will be confused when you come in, the guild hall is full of laughter and lively atmosphere. Magicians gathered in groups of 3 or 5, some drinking, some chatting, and some arguing fiercely. Although it seemed a bit chaotic here, and a few people would occasionally fly out, everyone's face was full of smiles, which made Hal feel a little relieved and excited. Just as Hal was hesitating at the door, a short old man noticed him. The old man looked kind, but Hal could feel the powerful magic power in him. The old man came forward and said in a kind voice, "Are you new here? I am the president here, Makarov Dolia." He extended his hand to Hal. "Hey, isn't that Ika lying next to you? He must be tired from running around, why is he sleeping at the door? I was knocked unconscious by your people." Uncle Ika complained crazily. "Forget it, President Makarov, I picked up a treasure this time. Your guild is short of people, right? I met a boy named Hal on the road, and he asked to join your guild." Hal politely shook Makarov's hand, hesitated for a moment, and replied, "Yes, I just got here, my name is Hal." At this time, Fairy Tale was not too strong, and it was only famous in Magnolia. Makarov had been the president for nearly 10 years, and was worried about expanding the guild. After all, in the guild, apart from himself, there was only one unreliable guildarts with S-level strength. "Oh? So you want to join our guild?" Makarov sobered up after hearing this, and quickly felt Hal's magic. This was a rare newcomer. After just a moment, Makarov's eyes widened. "You have such strong magic power, and it's very pure. How old are you?" 13 years old, Hal replied. "Well, 13 years old. I thought you just looked young, but you are really young." Makarov was overjoyed. He didn't expect such a good seedling to take the initiative to join the guild. It's really a third generation of happiness. Just wait and see, President Prekhito. I will definitely train this kid to become the new generation of the guild's face. Thinking of this, Makarov couldn't help but burst into tears. How many years, I have been the president for so many years, this is the first time that such a good seedling has joined our guild. Before, there was no strong newcomer except Laxus. Kana is still young, and Kana joined very early, Grey, maybe he is still a pervert at the moment. Boy, when Natsu comes, you will work hard. Stamp it now, Hal, where do you want it?" Makarov was a little anxious, and then he took out the guild seal from somewhere, looking at him with shining eyes. On the right arm." Hal was a little overwhelmed. He was a little excited and a little surprised that it would go so smoothly. This was the guild he had always dreamed of. "Chua, perfect, from today we are a family." Makarov moved quickly, even stamping Hal with his clothes, probably using magic. "Newcomer, Drink. Everyone in the hall saw that there was a newcomer in the guild, and they all congratulated loudly. Wow, such a small newcomer. Tisk, it's already hot, and another one is here, it's even hotter. Grey. Clothes. The guild was full of joy, and everyone welcomed Hal. IKA, drink with me, today is such a happy day, ha 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 ha. Makarov hugged IKA and laughed and went to the bar to drink. It seemed that they were old acquaintances. Hey, Kana, bring Hal to get familiar with our guild. Okay, Grandpa President. Kana saluted and ran to Hal. You are Hal, welcome, what kind of magic do you use? Your clothes are so beautiful, I have never seen the style. Kana was wearing a green dress and a cute high ponytail. She was very enthusiastic and pulled Hal to ask questions. For Kana, there were almost no peers in the guild at present. He was quite happy when Grey came before, but he didn't expect that Grey was a perverted brother who took off his clothes everywhere. Levi and Fried managed the guild library in the basement of the guild. They liked reading books since they were young. My magic is the dragon-slaying magic of the earth, and my clothes are made by my father. Hal answered Kana's question honestly. Kana at this time was still a little girl who liked divination and had not been addicted to alcohol. She was very cute. Dragon-slaying magic. Makeo and Wakaba, who were drinking next to him, looked at him in shock. Wow, so powerful, much more than my card magic, it's the lost magic. Kana looked at Hal with admiration. Hey, that's amazing, this is the first time I've seen someone use dragon-slaying magic. Makao and Wakaba shouted in unison. Hal was a little at a loss, and was interrupted when he wanted to say something. Cheers to our guild super rookie of Dragon Slayer magic, everyone shouted. Ah ha 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 ha, the president next to him laughed even louder. Hal looked at the scene in front of him and couldn't help but feel happy. Here is really a happy atmosphere everywhere, I can't even think about it, it's completely different from my previous life. Thinking about it, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. July 10th, X777 Hal Mikado Saint joined the Fairy Tale Guild. Chapter 4. The two of them were very close, and the two of them were very close. Since Hal joined, President Makarov has been very concerned about Hal. He is not only the leader of the guild, but also a mentor and father-like existence to the guild members. Hal also respects this old man very much. Makarov often asks Hal about his recent situation and gives him a lot of advice and support. For example, Hal's current residence was also introduced by Makarov. Next door is a house with a card. Turning left is the guild. Although the house is not big, it is very warm, and there are some blooming flowers on the windowsill. Hal likes this place very much. Considering that he is very young, the rent is only 1000 J per month for 2 years. The rest will be paid by the guild. Hal earned his living expenses by accepting commissions. Although it was called a commission, there was not much to earn. After all, he had just joined and had to get familiar with the task process in the surrounding cities. Hal still had a lot to learn. After settling down, Hal returned to the guild hall. President Makarov was checking the tasks in front of the guild's task board. He saw Hal coming back and asked with a smile, "Are you ready to accept your first task?" Hal nodded, indicating that he was ready. Makarov pointed to a bounty on the task board and said, "This is a commissioned task. A wild boar mountain god appeared near the farmland and has been destroying crops. The task is to catch it and protect the villagers' farmland. This is a good starting task. It is not too dangerous, but it requires some skills." At this time, Grey and Kana also came over. Grey patted Hal on the shoulder and said, "Are you a little nervous for the first mission?" "Don't worry, we will go together." Kana smiled and added, "Yes, this is also the first time that Grey and I have partnered together. The three of us will definitely complete the mission successfully." Hal was a little touched. The president not only took care of his place but also helped him find his first job. Grey and Kana were the same. Even though they didn't say much about their concern, they gave Hal the greatest support in action and even accompanied Hal on his first mission. After the three formed a team, Makarov reminded them to pay attention to safety and told Hal not to force himself if he encountered difficulties. Then, they set off for the farmland. On the way, Grey and Kana told Hal some details of the mission. The wild boar mountain god is a magical creature that likes to destroy farmland. Although it is huge, it is not very aggressive. The key lies in its speed and strength. Be careful not to be hit by it. Hal nodded and said he understood. Soon we arrived at the village near Magnolia. When we arrived at the village, Hal and Grekina first found the village chief who entrusted us with the task. The village chief couldn't help but feel a little worried when he saw 3 children. The wild boar mountain god is the mountain god passed down from generation to generation in our village. It will come down to cause trouble every once in a while. This time it is particularly excessive. We have no choice but to ask the magician to come and teach him a lesson. But you 3 children, if I had known earlier, I would not have entrusted you. What if you get hurt? The wild boar mountain god can't be suppressed by several adult men in our village. The village chief said earnestly. It's okay, village chief grandpa. We are all magicians. We are very powerful. If you don't believe me, just watch. Kana was afraid that the old man would worry, so she threw a card and a small lightning flashed for the village chief to see. The village chief was relieved and led us to the farmland. After arriving at the farmland, Hal and the other 2 carefully looked around. Soon, they found a severely damaged farmland with fresh footprints of the wild boar god in the field. Hal, Gray and Kana followed the footprints and soon found the wild boar god that was destroying the crops. This wild boar god was huge, covered with thick fur, and looked very ferocious. Hal felt nervous. It was the first time he faced such a monster. As the Prince of Bosco, most of the monsters he encountered were dealt with by guards. And most importantly, the monsters 400 years ago were not so big at all. Hal quickly calmed down. He decided to try to use the power he got from the red jade. He focused his attention and his hands began to glow. The left hand flashed black and gold light, and the right hand was white light. At this time, Gray and Kana also prepared their magic. Gray's body was covered with frost, and Kana took out a stack of magic cards. Hal, let's cooperate! Gray shouted. Hal nodded. He responded with his head, then he stretched out his right hand and summoned the power of wood release. Solid wooden vines quickly grew on the ground, trying to restrain the boar mountain god. However, the boar mountain god was extremely powerful, and although he was entangled by the vines, he still struggled hard. At this moment, Gray's ice magic also took action, and he quickly formed ice cubes to freeze the feet of the boar mountain god. Kana laid a circle of magic cards around to form a barrier to limit the range of activities of the boar mountain god. Although the boar mountain god struggled to break free, the cooperation of the 3 people gradually controlled it. Hal decided to try to use the power of the desert fruit. He moved his left hand slightly, and the black and gold light condensed into a sand spear, rushing towards the boar mountain god, and then the sand spear rushed into the legs of the boar mountain god, making him unable to resist. Just in case, Hal decided to increase the restraint and use sand magic to restrain the boar mountain god. Suddenly, a golden magic circle appeared under the body of the mountain god, and the gushing sand quickly surrounded the body of the wild boar mountain god. This dust not only weakened the power of the wild boar mountain god, but also slowed down its movements. In the end, the 3 successfully bound the wild boar mountain god, preventing it from destroying the farmland. Hey, this broken wild boar is really strong, fortunately it is bound. But it would be better if it could be killed directly, so that it would not consume so much magic power. Gray breathed a sigh of relief. He had been maintaining the ice magic of the 4 hooves of the wild boar mountain god just now, fearing that it would run away, and could not help but complain. There is no way, the mountain god is a long-standing custom in this village. We are here to complete the commission, and we cannot kill it. Kana sat next to Gray, and it can be seen that she was very satisfied with this first mission with Gray. After all, Gray did not have time to take off his clothes this time. Hal complained in his heart. Oh, by the way, Hal, where is your dragon-killing magic? Why didn't it work? Instead, you used the magic of sand and trees. Do you know so many magics? Kana looked at Hal with great curiosity, and Gray also looked at him. Well, it's not that we can't kill him. I think the magic of sand and trees is quite suitable. Let's practice these 2 magics. Because the power of my Earth's dragon-killing magic is too great, I can't control the strength now. If I kill him, the mission will fail. Hal said this, Kana and Gray became more curious. Hey! Could it be more powerful than my ice-shape magic? Gray said as he smirked, looking at Hal with a pair of hammer eyes. Magic has no distinction between strong and weak. It depends on the person. Dragon-killing magic may not necessarily be stronger than other magics. It's just that I am particularly good at it. After all, the dragon-killing crystal in my body gives me too much power. Yes, after Hal implanted the dragon-slaying crystal, he almost didn't feel tired. It might be that the power was too strong and it was a temporary illusion. And his height was also growing slowly. It was only a few days ago, and he felt that he had grown 1 centimeter, and his physical strength had also increased. Well, I am quite satisfied with your answer. It seems that you are not the guy who is against me. Gray looked arrogant. He actually wanted to quarrel with Hal to improve their relationship. Of course, it might be because he was too lonely without anyone to fight with him. Of course, it's not bad now, Gray thought. Stupid Gray. Let's go, don't bully the newcomers. Kana stood up and made a face at Gray. How could she not know what Gray was thinking in her heart? Hal, wait for the next mission to show us your dragon-slaying magic. Next. Of course, we are already a team. Kana said happily. Hey, I didn't agree. Gray stood up and shouted arrogantly. Stupid Gray, stop talking. Let's go. Back to the guild. With the money from this commission, I can buy a new deck of divination cards. Kana's bright voice said happily. Even Hal was infected by this atmosphere. A warm current surged in my heart. It really feels like home. Chapter 5. The last mission was worth mentioning. It is worth mentioning that after the last mission, Kana was the first to run back to the guild, followed by Gray and Hal. As a result, they remembered that they had forgotten to inform the village chief halfway through. So the three of them ran back awkwardly and found that the wild boar almost broke free and ran away. Fortunately, Hal's sand spear magic pierced his leg muscles and prevented him from breaking free. The three of them worked together to teach the wild boar mountain god a lesson and safely moved it to the woods outside the village to ensure that it would not come back to destroy the farmland. The villagers expressed their deep gratitude to them and gave them some food in return. On the way back to the guild, Hal, Gray, and Kana couldn't help laughing. The mission almost failed because of the idiot Kana running out first. If this gets back, everyone will laugh for a long time. Gray laughed happily beside him, holding his head. Ah, stop talking. I was too proud, and you two ran away with me. Kana blushed at what Gray said, and replied with her face covered. Don't laugh at me, Gray. Hal. Ha ha ha. Hal squinted his eyes and felt very satisfied, not only because he completed the mission, but also because he felt the power of teamwork, the friendship of the guild, and the warmth of home in the process. Back to the guild, Makarov asked about the mission process as soon as possible, and the three of them tacitly did not tell the embarrassing things after tying up the wild boar. Makarov patted Hal on the shoulder and said, Well, you completed the first mission beyond my expectations. You seem to know a lot of magic. If you don't understand something, remember to find me. Okay, Grandpa President. By the way, the three of us are going to form a team together. Grandpa President, is that okay? Kana looked at Makarov expectantly at this time. Makarov thought about it seriously, then looked at Gray and Hal with expectant eyes. Okay. The three of you are of the same age, so it's just right to grow up and work hard together. Just tell me when you choose the mission. Okay, Grandpa President is so nice. Kana seemed extremely happy. She was always led by Wakaba and others in the guild to do missions, but after a long time, Kana always felt that she would drag them down to take on better commissions. Now she can finally get Makarov's approval to form a team with people of the same age. A very long dividing line, okay, it's not long actually. Hal and Kana Gray have a very fulfilling life since they formed a team. Although they don't always receive tasks to fight monsters with magic, the process of the tasks is very happy and fulfilling. Time passed quickly, and today Hal walked into the guild with the gift he bought. This is the gift he brought to Gray, Kana and the president with the money he earned from working hard for a week. Where is the president? Why is he not in the guild today? As soon as he entered the guild, Hal found something unusual. Usually the president was drinking and chatting in the guild all the time, but he was not there today. Hal was quite uncomfortable. President, he went to the guild president alliance for a meeting. It seems that there are more monsters in some places recently. The presidents of magic guilds should take the lead and set an example to deal with them as soon as possible. Kana explained while playing divination cards. It's okay, I have divined, there is no danger at all, but there is a danger of getting drunk. Kana proudly put her hands on her waist and said to Wakaba and Makeo. After all, this magic was learned when chatting with Wakaba and Makeo. Kana always tells fortunes when the president goes out. Wakaba and Makeo said with a smile. When I don't have a mission, I tell fortunes for you, and. Fu Kana explained with a blush, and her voice became smaller and could not be heard clearly. Wakaba and Makeo laughed. Kana-chan is so cute. Hal walked up to Kana and opened his backpack. What is this? Hal. My gift to thank you, and Grace. The gift was neither big nor small, just a small bracelet. Hal also had one. The three of them were almost identical, representing that they were a team. Wow! Thank you Hal. Gray, come here quickly. What is it? I'm about to win the arm wrestling game. This is Hal's gift to us, look. Oh! Gray's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise and joy. Not bad, I like it very much, thank you Hal, but there seems to be no difference between our bracelets. Of course, after all, we are a team. But there is still a little difference. I used tree magic and sand magic to decorate each of our names on a white bead in the center. Kana's is Karna, Gray's is Gray, and mine is Hal. Not bad, isn't it? Hal had a proud smile on his face. Great! Gray and Kana said in unison. Hal, you are a very attentive guy. Hal, thank you. Gray and Kana both expressed their gratitude in their own way. Just at this moment, the door of the guild was suddenly kicked open by someone. Guild guys, I'm back, ha 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 ha. President Makarov walked in with a smug look on his face, holding a pink-haired child in his hand. There is a new member in our guild again, he is Natsu. Natsu. Hal looked at the president and Natsu in shock. Chapter 6. The old man was so angry that he was so angry. Natsu. Hal was really shocked. Why didn't I remember Natsu's existence at all? We clearly went through the gate together. Could this be some kind of side effect? But the red jade obviously offset it at that time. Hal thought about it carefully again and found that he couldn't remember who he came with. It seems that the distortion of time still exists in him, or it is a kind of correction. After all, they are all people from the past, and the world seems to have made a slight correction to reduce some of the impact. If you don't see them in person, you can't remember their existence at all. Hal was really distressed when he thought of this. A woman's voice suddenly came to his mind. The influence of time seems to exceed my imagination. Hal, I'll leave my brothers and sisters in your care. Anna. Hal called out the name involuntarily, and then he couldn't remember anything. Anyway, take good care of Natsu, this is all I can do now. Iluza, you're back this morning, Natsu is in your hands, take him to familiarize himself with our guild. Makarov waved his hand and called a night girl in armor. Iluza. Hal was shocked. Why haven't I seen her in almost 2 weeks since I came here? Ah, this is because Urza has been helping me practice before, and she usually just reads books in the guild's underground library. A blue-haired girl appeared on the side and answered my doubts. You must be the new member Hal, right? I'm Levy. This is the first time we meet. I accompanied Urza to look up the information she wanted to know. I only come to the guild at night. Hello, nice to meet you. I'm Hal. On the other side. Who are you? Why are you wearing armor? Natsu asked arrogantly. Hey, don't mess with her, Gray reminded quietly. Hey? Why is there someone without clothes? Why are there so many weirdos here? Natsu looked at Gray and complained. I'm wearing underwear. This is the new collector's edition underwear I bought. Don't you agree, Sakura-haired boy? Gray looked at Natsu angrily. The next second, Natsu flew out with Gray's newly bought underwear, of course, Gray as well. No quarreling. Urza, who was wearing a single braid, pointed at the two of them and said. Why is such a cute girl so violent? Hal complained to Kana on a table 500 meters away. This is Urza. Hey, is that the newcomer Hal over there? I'm Urza, please teach me. Urza suddenly glanced at Hal and said hello. What kind of hearing is that? Hal could only smile back, and looked at Natsu worriedly. He and Gray were pushed against the wall and were being pulled out. Hey, so scary, I almost thought I was going to die. Natsu was finally pulled out after a lot of pulling, and sighed with lingering fear. Right, I think so too. Gray was also pulled out and smiled at Natsu. The next second, the two turned their heads away at the same time. Then the two of them were punched in the head again. The guild is a home, fighting is not allowed in the guild, we are all family. Urza said, touching her armor. Yes, Gray and Natsu both covered their heads and admitted their defeat. Then can I ask a question? Natsu asked Urza in a low voice. Sure, we are a family now, what can't we ask? Urza gave Natsu a gentle voice like a sister. Really? Then, I want to know if you have seen Igneel. He is my father and taught me magic. I suddenly couldn't find him half a month ago, so I lived alone in the forest for a long time. Perhaps Urza's gentle voice gave Natsu a lot of confidence, and Natsu asked everyone in the guild about the most important thing in his heart. Igneel? A famous wizard, I have never heard of it. It's not a wizard, it's a dragon. A red dragon. Dragon. Everyone was shocked, even Urza was shocked. Are you saying that a dragon taught you magic? That's too absurd. How could there be dragons in this era? At this time, Hal looked at Natsu. Natsu, we came together, let me tell you the truth. Hal thought in his heart, he decided to tell Natsu the dragon's plan, but in an instant he was warned, a kind of thing that only dragons can have. Feel the words. Hal. Don't tell Natsu, the time has not come yet. We will meet one day. It's too early now. This is the voice of Igneel. Okay, let's not talk about it for now. Thinking of this, Hal looked at Natsu with a little heartache. He seemed as innocent as a little wolf who lost his father. Maybe, this is also the necessary price of growing up. Listening to everyone's answers, Natsu was so angry that tears were about to burst out. Just as he was about to refute, he heard. Yes, I was also taught magic by the dragon. Hal said innocently. Natsu looked at Hal with excitement. I was also taught magic by the dragon. His name is the Earth Dragon Fusler. Hal looked at Natsu seriously. Where did your dragon go? Please ask him where Igneel is. I miss him so much. He suddenly disappeared. Natsu's expression was very excited and anxious. He thought he could see his father. I'm sorry, Natsu. The Earth Dragon Fusler has reached the end of his life and has passed away. He only exists in my heart now. The light in Natsu's eyes disappeared instantly. Is that so? Sorry. Natsu lowered his head, his eyes filled with tears. Ah, there is such a thing. A child raised by a dragon. This is so cool. Sorry, Natsu. It's not that we don't believe you. It's just that this is too rare. You are all like children of dragons. Macau and Wakaba were instantly excited, and everyone in the guild began to make a fuss. So you are also a dragon slayer. In this way, our guild has 2 users of lost magic. Great, Natsu. It's okay. There is still a lot of time. We can slowly find Igneel together. What magic did you use, Natsu? Fire Dragon Slayer magic. So cool. Tisk, no wonder I hate it when I look at it, a certain Tsundere of ice magic secretly said. At this time, Urza reached out to Natsu. Everyone here is moving forward with sadness, but we are family, we can encourage each other. Hello, Natsu, welcome to Fairy Tale. At this time, in Natsu's eyes, the red-haired girl was shining, and her eyes reflected his full appearance. The gentleness in her eyes made Natsu unconsciously hold the girl's hand. On July 20th, X777, Natsu Dragneel joined the Fairy Tale Guild. In the same year, Miss Dong-ang sent Wendy to the Cat Inn. Chapter 7. The 2 of them are very close, and the 2 of them are very close. It has been a month since Natsu joined the guild. In this month, the guild has become even more noisy. Everyone is welcoming and friendly to the newcomer Natsu. Well, except for Gray. The 2 of them will start fighting whenever Urza is not around, and they often fight each other until they are bruised and swollen and neither of them will give in. Well, but this may also be the way the 2 of them express their goodwill. Well, maybe. Haru's life has been quite fulfilling recently. A few days later, he and Kana Gray went on a mission, and took Natsu with them. The group was very lively. When there is no mission, he practices magic and learns the words of this world. Yes, Haru is a little illiterate, which is not to say that he can't recognize them at all. It's mainly because after 400 years, the writing of many words has changed. Even if he had the memory of the original Prince Hal, it would not work. If he didn't know him, he didn't know him. When he first took the mission with Gray and Kana, he didn't realize it. After all, he knew 80% of the characters on a commission. Maybe he corrected and completed the rest by himself? Anyway, Hal only realized this serious matter recently, so he asked Gray and Kana for leave. Natsu and Gray and Kana went on the recent missions together. This also led to a sharp increase in the difficulty of the mission, and Natsu couldn't read, even more exaggerated than Hal. Now the current situation is that everyone has started to rest. Hal started to recognize words and learn by himself. Natsu started to get beaten and others taught him. Oh, no, it was starting to recognize words and others taught him. The person who taught was Urza, who was simply a devil instructor. Although she looked cute and her pigtails swung, Hal was still a little scared. Natsu was now completely conquered by Urza with pigtails. He had no consciousness of resistance at all, and his eyes were very clear. Speaking of which, Hal hasn't practiced much since he came to the guild. He took this opportunity to practice some of his own magic. After all, he is a person who is said by Fusler to be gifted in light magic. Currently, Hal knows light magic, mainly light magic attack, defense, flight, etc., and is considered the first to master magic. Earth's Dragon Slayer magic. This magic is both offensive and defensive, and the secret of Dragon Slayer is also mastered. The main thing that restricts Hal is the magic power. This can only be trained slowly, and relying on the power that the Dragon Slayer crystal continuously gives. Hal is now growing every day and not very fast. The key lies in the power of life and the power of death. These two magics are basically played by instinct, so many times they are not well controlled. If they are developed, there should be no big problem. The moves used by the strong in the previous life are enough for me to learn for a while. Magic mainly relies on meditation and imagination, or a strong heart. Hal remembered the teachings of President Makarov. A strong heart is always the source of power to mobilize magic. Perhaps, I am not strong enough. I have many things to do, whether it is defeating the Black Dragon or reviving the kingdom. By the way, it has been 400 years. How has history developed? Is the Bosco kingdom still there? Thinking of this, Hal decided to go to the underground library of the guild to find Lullaby. There should be the history books he wants there. Lullaby, are you there? I want to find some books to read. This is the first time Hal came to the underground of the guild. He didn't know where to find Lullaby. Hal? Wait, I will come after I collect these books. Lullaby's voice came from behind Hal. Looking carefully, it turned out that Lullaby was sorting books behind the layers of bookshelves. Hal, there are too many books here, and there is a lot of dust. I am cleaning them up. Lullaby sat on the ground in distress. It's just right, I'll help you, Lullaby. How can that be? You are looking for books. We are family, it's normal to help each other, and there is no rush for books. I know a little dust removal magic in light magic, it's very simple. Hal looked at Lullaby with a smile. He had a good impression of Lullaby, or rather, he had a good impression of hardworking and knowledgeable girls. Dust removal magic? But that was magic that disappeared 400 years ago. I just heard about it, but you can do it. Lullaby looked at Hal in shock. Why did this spell disappear? It's very practical, okay? Fortunately, the old housekeeper taught me. An old man taught me before, maybe it's just luck. Hal's hand showed a golden magic circle, and the golden light brought to the bookshelf, which soon became spotless, and even in the dead corners of the bookshelf. Great! Can you teach me, Hal? I really need this magic, it's so convenient. Okay, but remember to help me find the book after you learn it. Don't worry, teacher Hal. Levi also gave Hal a very standard and cute military salute. Where did you learn this? Forget it, it's cute anyway. Soon, Levi learned this little magic, and the guild basement became brand new. Great! I'll find the history book you want right away, Hal, please wait. Levi ran to find the book as soon as she finished cleaning, which made Hal smile slightly. Soon, the book was found, about the history of Ishgar. In the catalogue, Hal found the country of Bosco, located in the east of the current kingdom of Fiori. It has a vast land, but magic is not very developed and it is in war all year round. Yes, war is normal in this world. After all, not every country is like the kingdom of Fiori, which is a permanent neutral country or a small country with a population of only 17 million. The country of Bosco is 3 times the size of Fiori and has encountered dragons in history. The emperor was killed in a group attack, and there was no heir. Later, under the leadership of local nobles, the country was restored. The country name remained unchanged, still Bosco. Now there is only a king but no emperor, and it is a system of abdication, similar to the feeling of the president. There is no royal family in the country. It seems that the emperor's father really did it. He saved the country of Bosco. Perhaps this is only part of the reason. The black dragon's indiscriminate slaughter of dragons also made the country of Bosco breathe. After all, the black dragon does not kill people, but only dragons. So I have to thank you, the black dragon Acknowledge. Half closed the book and sighed. It's good that Persia is still there. As for the restoration of the country, it has been 400 years. Let it be. The people may not be happy. When the time comes, just go to the underground to take a look at what my father and Fusil have been thinking about. Thank you, Libby, I found the book I wanted. I will bring you desserts next time. Bye, Hal, your magic has helped me a lot. Libby waved happily to Hal. Hal returned to his little home and faced the window, which was the direction of Fairy Tale. I will not evade my responsibility, Fusil, but I want to protect this guild first, otherwise, the meaning of my coming to this world will disappear. I have lost my memory of the plot, but I have not lost my yearning and love for this place. Chapter 8. The atmosphere in the guild hall was broken by the opening of the door on a quiet afternoon. A pair of 3 siblings walked in, attracting everyone's attention. Walking in front was a white-haired girl with a complex and melancholy look. Her left arm was covered with a layer of strange black scales and runes, which was a symbol of her use of the demon soul magic. Behind her followed a lively white-haired girl and a tall but slightly shy white-haired boy. When they walked into the hall, the members of the guild stopped what they were doing and looked at the 3 new faces curiously. The white-haired girl looked around and bowed deeply. I am Myra Jane, these 2 are my brother Elfman and sister Lysina. I hope to join Fairy Tale. There was a hint of uncertainty in Mirajana's voice. She looked at her left arm and a hint of resistance flashed across her face. Lysina and Elfman behaved more naturally. Lysina looked around lively, while Myra Jane stood nervously aside. Makeo stood up and broke the deadlock with a smile. Welcome. Here, everyone has their own uniqueness, don't worry about anything. Natsu jumped out and asked curiously, what magic do you know? I am the Fire Dragon Slayer mage. Myra Jane looked at her left arm with a little embarrassment, and said after a moment of silence, I don't know magic, I just want to find a powerful magician to help me remove this demon's arm, and my younger brother and sister will join. Demons accept magic. I've seen it in books. It doesn't matter, our president knows a lot about magic in this area. Levi is rarely on the first floor of the guild. Well, after all, he has lived for a long time. Wakaba said with a sly smile. Hey, what do you mean by I've lived a long time? This is called profound knowledge of magic. The old man shouted. Right, what you said reminds me of a word magic old man, but, ahem, it's not good to say it out loud. It's okay, Myra, no one in Fairy Tale will look down on you because of magic, and it's not scary. As long as it can be well controlled, it is very powerful magic. Hal walked in front of Myra and looked at the girl, his right hand gently placed on his chest, his left hand naturally hanging down, his posture elegant and decent. The girl also looked at him. The boy was wearing a well-cut dark red long coat, embellished with exquisite silver thread embroidery. The embroidery patterns were mostly classical patterns, which Myra had never seen before. The coat was lined with a white silk shirt, and the cuffs of the shirt had tiny lace decorations and a small bracelet, which looked delicate and not exaggerated. The black hair was slightly fluffy and natural, with some casual waves, naturally falling on the ears and forehead, slightly covering the forehead. The boy is about 1.7 meters tall. Although he is young, his figure is already tall. He is slightly taller than his peers. What makes Myra most curious is that his demeanor is very calm. Although he is still young, his eyes reveal a calmness and maturity beyond his age. His eyes are bright and focused, and the corners of his mouth are slightly raised, with a confident and decent smile, giving people a gentle but majestic feeling. Yes, this is 14-year-old Hal. Hal has been in the guild for about a year. This is the first time he has met a newcomer besides Natsu. His clothes are still the ones his old emperor father once gave him, and he has been wearing them all the time. Of course, he has made a lot of spare clothes in the past year. The ancient royal costumes opened the eyes of Magnolia's tailors. Come here, I'll introduce you to the president. Hal turned around gently, and the heels of his black leather shoes tapped the wooden floor lightly, making a rhythmic sound, which made Myra relax. Lysina and Elfman also met Hal for the first time, and they couldn't help but follow Hal's footsteps quietly. Hal's noble etiquette is really good. He has really become the face of our guild. Why doesn't he do this to us normally? Complaints from guild members. It's not for the first impression, I'm afraid you idiots will scare away the newcomers. There haven't been newcomers for a year, and the president's hair is getting thinner and thinner. Well, he's still drinking, maybe it's natural for his hair to be thinner. Hal slowly walked to the president but complained wildly in his heart. President, a newcomer is here. Where? Or this? What a cute little white-haired girl. Makarov sobered up in an instant, so fast that Hal felt he was cheating. Myra smiled slightly and responded shyly, Thank you, President. I'm Myra Jane, and this is my brother Elfman and sister Lysina. We want to join Fairy Tale. Makarov's smile became wider, his eyes full of joy, like a child welcome. Fairy Tale is a guild full of warmth and laughter. We have all kinds of members here, and everyone is very friendly. You will definitely like it here. Okay, the word broad is a little bit off, in fact, it's a smile that's about to split your mouth. Myra nodded, but her expression was still a little nervous. She looked at her left arm, sighed slightly, and finally spoke, In fact, I just hope to find some help to remove the demon on my left arm. My brothers and sisters have left their hometowns with me because of it. What? A receiving magic. If you want to recover, I can help you recover at any time. But I still think you can try to control it. It is also a kind of magic. You can receive it, which proves that your magic talent is quite powerful. Makarov comforted Myra in a gentle tone like a reliable elder. First of all, join the guild first, ha 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 ha. Okay, the wine is not sober at all. Hal stood aside, patted Myra's shoulder gently, and said with a smile, Come with me, I will take you to familiarize yourself with the environment of the guild, and you will adapt quickly. However, despite such acceptance and understanding, Myra Jane still felt an inner struggle. She didn't like her demon arm and often felt inferior and strange because of it. Although everyone in the guild was very friendly to her, she still couldn't fully integrate into it. How could such a disgusting thing be my magic? I don't want it. In the weeks after joining the guild, Myra Jane was often alone to avoid too much contact with other members. She even began to doubt whether she was really suitable to stay in Fairy Tale. She sat alone on the guild roof in the middle of the night, looking down at her left arm, tears silently flowing down. Hey, don't cry, you are obviously very happy, why are you crying? Hal asked, using magic to condense a figure standing beside her. Myra quickly wiped away her tears, concealed her emotions, and tried to slow down her tone. How can I be happy? It is because of it that I was forced to be called a demon by the villagers, and even my brothers and sisters began to fear me. I'm really fed up. Lysina and Elfman have been well integrated into you recently. I'm leaving too. This place is not suitable for me. It's too dazzling. Myra couldn't help shouting while holding the devil's hand. But you are really happy, Hal looked at her gently. Lysina and Elfman have never been afraid of their sister. Just when she was confused, Lysina and Elfman quietly walked behind her and showed their receiving magic, beast and animal. Lysina whispered, Sister, you don't need to feel sad about this arm. We are still us, no matter what our arm looks like. Elfman said firmly, If you feel uncomfortable, then we will learn the same magic, so you won't feel lonely. As he said, Elfman and Lysina came forward and hugged Myra. Myra couldn't hold back her tears anymore, her eyes gradually became wet. Her tears fell on the ground, as if a silent response to this warmth and care. Her hands were tightly clasped together, trembling slightly, and the tears on her face reflected her inner excitement and touch. I said, You are really happy, Myra. The eyes of the young Hal were still bright and focused, and through that gentle light, his sight seemed to penetrate Myra's inner world. Thank you, Hal. July 10, X778 Myra, Elfman, and Lysina joined Fairy Tale. Chapter 9. The two of them were very happy. It has been 2 months since Myra joined the guild. After that incident, Myra quickly integrated into the guild. This made Hal very happy, after all, he liked this strong and powerful white-haired girl. Hal opened the door of the guild and flew out instantly. This touch, is it Urza, really hard? Hal scratched his head, sat on the ground, and watched the farce in front of him. The idiots in our guild like to solve problems by fighting. Yes, Myra and Urza have become mortal enemies. Although Myra's magic power is not as good as Urza now, she has never admitted defeat. I don't know what's going on between the two of them. Maybe they are not compatible. There's nothing we can do about this. Lysina spread her hands helplessly beside the little bear. You, as a sister, are really open-minded. There's nothing we can do. Last time, Elfman tried to stop the fight and was kicked away by both of them. So scary. Hal's mouth twitched. These two are simply the plus version of Natsu and Grey. Grey and Natsu were hugging each other lovingly and yelling. Hiss, it's just the harpy cat. A while ago, the harpy was born. I heard rumors in the guild that it was the child of Natsu and Lysina. Why are there blue cats? How did you and Natsu do it? Hal complained. This is the power of love. Hee hee. Lysina seemed very proud. What kind of magic potion did Natsu give Lysina? Forget it, I shouldn't have come today. I wanted to find Grekina to help me negotiate a business on the street. Hal patted the dust on his trouser legs and shook his head helplessly. Business? What business? Lysina looked at Hal curiously. Of course it's the design rights of my clothes. After all, there is only one in the world. Hal made up that it was designed by his father. This incident made Magnolia's tailors very excited. They wanted to imitate and asked Hal to authorize. It's just that the style can't be made the same as Hal's clothes. Hal's clothes are not only unique in design, but also contain the royal tradition of 400 years ago. The exquisite embroidery, smooth silk, and sophisticated tailoring all give people a sense of extraordinary nobility. As for why it didn't pass down, it might be because the dragons destroyed it too much. None of this is important. The point is that you can make a lot of money as long as you authorize it, and it is estimated that 500,000 J per month. With this money, Hal can rest assured. Refer to Lucy's rent, 70,000 J is cheap, so it's about 500,000 J to sell a clothing design license. Soon, Hal negotiated the deal, and it is estimated that there will be many similar styles in the world in the future. But fortunately, he sold the material composition and design style of this dress, so the embarrassing thing of wearing the same clothes should not happen. With 500,000 J, Hal quickly chose a super large 2-story house that was very close to the guild. The reason for choosing the second floor was because he was afraid that there would be too many guests. Hal's new home is an elegant 2-story house located in a quiet neighborhood in Magnolia. The appearance of the house is simple and exquisite, with exquisite carvings on the white exterior walls, and the dark blue tiles on the roof contrast with the surrounding green trees. Entering the house, the spacious lobby welcomes every visitor. The ground is covered with smooth wooden floors, and classical furniture and exquisite decorations are placed on both sides. In the living room, large floor-to-ceiling windows let in plenty of natural light, making the whole space bright and warm. Several exquisite paintings and family portraits hang on the wall, showing Hal's aristocratic background and unique taste. Okay, Hal is not a nobleman just to restore the room in the castle where he used to live. The second floor is a private area, and the handrails next to the stairs are carved with exquisite patterns. The master bedroom is spacious and comfortable, with a viewing balcony overlooking the surrounding scenery. The furniture in the bedroom is practical and comfortable, and the delicate fabrics and soft beds make people feel relaxed. The garden of the house is well maintained and green. The flower bed is full of various flowers. The fountain quietly flows with cool water sounds, adding a peaceful atmosphere to the entire courtyard. There is also a small outdoor seating area in the backyard with several comfortable chairs, which is an ideal place for Hal to enjoy a leisurely time. Haha. Ha ha ha, a house like this only needs to be paid in installments of 400,000 J per month for a year, which is great. Hal likes this house very much. He can see the guild by opening the second floor window, and he can invite guild members to visit on weekdays. Well, it's very cool. A perfect house. After moving to the new house, Hal gradually adapted to this new living environment. He likes to sit in the garden and read books on sunny days, or meditate and practice his magic in the garden. One day, Habby came to Habby's house. Hey! Habby's house is so big. Hi Habby, why are you here? Natsu asked me to call you for dinner. Today is a very important day for the guild. Oh? Let's go. Habby didn't think much about it, picked up his coat and went out. Hey? What are you doing, Habby? The blue cat, Habby, was puzzled by Hal's behavior. Aren't we going to eat? Hal had a big question mark on his head. A few minutes later. Happy, I told you that the fish in Hal's pond are especially delicious. Hey, Natsu, you're right. No, you're coming to my house for dinner. Hal's question mark was getting bigger and bigger. Hey, didn't I tell you, Hal? Get out of here. You're such a good person, not a good cat, for eating at my house and telling me in advance. Haru said he was tired. Since moving to the new house, Happy and Natsu often come over to have fun. Before, they came to eat secretly at night, and gradually changed to eating during the day. Now they just don't pretend anymore and come to eat buffet. The more he thought about it, the angrier Haru got. Forget it, I have to order new fish again. They are too big live treasures, just spoil them. At this time, there was a knock on the door. Haru, what are you doing? The president is going to hold the S-class wizard exam today, and everyone has to go. Kana came over and knocked on the door to show her purpose. It turns out that the blue cat didn't lie to me. Something big is really going to happen. In the guild, the air was filled with a tense and excited atmosphere. Guild members gathered here early, looking forward to the start of the annual S-class wizard exam. S-class exam, this is the first time I have seen it since I joined the guild. I can't help it. It's said to be held once a year, but almost every year, few people can be recognized by the president to participate. I don't know who will be this year. If they succeed, we will have 2 S-class wizards. S-class wizards are the first row of the wizard guild besides the 10 holy wizards. In every guild, it is the existence of a treasure. Hey! It's quite lively. Hal came to the hall. It was the first time he saw so many guild members gathered together. The space in the center of the hall was cleared, and a few simple wooden tables and chairs were placed on the floor to form a platform. Various decorations and banners were hung on the walls, marking the importance of this exam. President Makarov stood in the center of the stage wearing the iconic Holy Ten cloak and his long unseen staff. So the president has a staff? Why did I see it for the first time after joining the guild for a year? Hal couldn't help but complain again. Ahem, the contestant of this S-level exam, Laxus Dolia. Kana is 12 years old at this time. It is too abstract for her to lose to Laxus in the S-level exam in the anime. She will definitely not be able to participate. President Makarov cleared his throat and officially introduced today's protagonist. Laxus Doria, Makarov's grandson, is 17 years old this year. Even though he is not yet an adult, he has inherited Makarov's powerful magic. Laxus is wearing a yellow casual shirt, metal headphones on his ears, and his short, stiff golden hair is particularly dazzling under the light. His tall figure and strong physique make his muscle lines fully exposed, showing his powerful strength. Suddenly, a roar of lightning exploded at the scene, and the strong electric light instantly filled the entire hall with exclamations. The guild members were amazed at Laxus's powerful magic. Laxus! Hal couldn't help but whisper the name. The terrifying magic he felt made him recall many things from his past life. Hal's plot memory will only be recalled under strong stimulation. He is really the first of the younger generation of fairy tale, and his magic power is so strong that it is unbelievable. As long as he stands there, he will give people an illusion of being unmatched, and make people feel unable to resist. Hal stared at the shocking figure on the stage, as if I saw a certain future of myself. At the end of X778, 17-year-old Laxus Doria became the new generation leader of fairy tale, and his strength as an S-class wizard was beyond doubt. This year, Hal was 14 years old, Ersamira was 13 years old, and Najgra was 12 years old. Mist and Gang was wandering outside. Chapter 10. The two of them were very close, and the two of them were very close. A few days later, President Makarov announced that Laxus had successfully been promoted to an S-class wizard. The whole guild was excited on that day. S-class. The guild finally has an S-class wizard besides Guildarts. Laxus, you really did it, Wakaba and Makeo cried while hugging Laxus in tears. You are really amazing. You were just a little kid not long ago, but you have grown up so big in the blink of an eye and become the pillar of the guild. Wakaba and Makeo cried louder and louder, and even started to wipe their noses on Laxus. Laxus' mouth twitched, and he saw Hal looking at him, and smiled at Hal. Hal was startled when he saw Laxus smile, and then looked at him firmly. You are so popular, Laxus, I have to work hard too. Hal thought silently in his heart, his hands glowed slightly, this is the manifestation of his magic. Hal was not the only one who had this idea, Urza, Myra, the younger grey Natsu, Kana, everyone inevitably had a kind of admiration for Laxus. After all, Laxus usually didn't talk much in the guild, almost just playing the role of a brother who silently helped his younger brothers and sisters. The shocking feeling when he really showed his strength was incomparable. Where is Hal going? Kana noticed Hal walking out of the guild. Are you going to do a mission, Hal? Hal didn't notice the anxiety in Kana's tone, he was now thinking about Laxus's affairs with all his heart and soul. After a while, I have to go to practice, I can't let Laxus fall too far behind, Hal replied looking at the sky, his voice full of firm determination. I want to see the scenery in your eyes, Laxus, I want to know the meaning of your becoming so powerful. This is the first time I feel the shock of my soul since I came to this world. Perhaps the warm environment of the guild has both saved me and bound me. The magic world is very cruel, right, Bosco, Hachi, Fussroll? It's time to face loneliness and challenges again, and can't always be protected by companions. I want to know this world with my own eyes. Hal slowly closed his eyes and made a decision in his heart. For the next 9 months, Hal had been away for training, and only came back to participate in the guild's activities during the New Year and the Fairy Tale Harvest Festival. Hey, that guy Hal is working too hard. Yeah, I haven't seen him in the past few months. When was the last time we met? 6 months ago, when we went to the Harvest Festival, Hal came to perform the tree magic. But the president said it was a thought body. What? Thought body, isn't that a very powerful magic? No, that guy Hal. His real body hasn't even come back. Gray and Natsu talked to each other for the first time in a long time without arguing. Ah, it's so lonely. When Hal was here, we could challenge Urza together. Now I can only be oppressed by Urza every day. Ah, the two brothers sighed at the same time. Boom, the door of the guild was violently kicked open. I'm back. Hal. Hal. A young man in a cloak and holding a staff walked into the guild. Hal, you have changed a lot. The guild members gathered around Hal and admired his changes. After almost a year of practice, Hal's changes are obvious. He transformed from a thin noble boy to a boy with a height of 1.78 meters and a strong physique. His figure gradually became strong and powerful from the previous slenderness, and his muscle lines became more obvious, showing the results of his hard training. The practice and travel outside made him understand that he was no longer the prince he used to be, and he could not stick to the past. He wanted to gain strength, and he could only rely on hard work and sweat accumulation. This time, Hal gained a lot from practice. Especially the ancient staff in Hal's hand. He spent a lot of money to get it. The wooden surface of the staff was covered with tiny cracks and wear, and it looked extremely old and heavy. The magic gem inlaid on the top flickered slightly, emitting a warm light, symbolizing the power and wisdom he gained after a year of practice. This staff is not only a symbol of his power, but also a witness of his journey. I'm back, President and everyone, Hal said with a smile. He practiced for 9 months just for this year's S-level exam. Ha! Hal, welcome back. But what a handsome staff. Natsu and Happy said hello and began to look around Hal with shining eyes. Hal had to pull them down. Don't look for it, I brought you gifts, I will give them to you when I meet the president, everyone has one. Wow! Long live Hal! After finally getting out of the encirclement of his companions, Hal came to the president. President, I'm back. Hal walked quietly to the president. Smelly boy. You've been running away for almost a year, and you still remember to come back. Makarov was angry. I often come back to do tasks, although it's just a thought body. Hal looked at the president with a smile. How dare you say that? Every time you finish a thought body, you disappear and don't collect the reward, making the client think that it's a ghost sent by our guild. It would be better if Hal didn't mention it. Makarov got even angrier when he did. Why don't you just practice slowly in the guild? You're running around everywhere. Now, in addition to dealing with the compensation and apology from the council, I have to write you a special psychological counseling for the client on ghost issues. I want to gain the same powerful power as Laxus to protect my family, Hal answered seriously. Makarov looked into Hal's eyes. The boy's deep black pupils were like two precious black gems, full of sincerity and gratitude. You've become thinner, and you must have suffered a lot. You little brat, who told you that only powerful magic can protect your family? The most important thing for a wizard is the mind. You still have a lot to learn. I'm not old yet, Don't run around. Makarov shook his sleeves and went to the bar to drink. Yes, Grandpa President. Hal quietly listened to Makarov's reprimand, with mixed emotions in his heart. Looking at the back of the short old man in his 70s. The president's words were full of reproach, but Hal knew that behind this anger was a deep concern for him. I don't know why, as soon as I return to the guild, I will feel a warm feeling in my heart, which makes me addicted. Chapter 11. The two of them were so busy that they had to fight. Haru. Let's fight it out. Natsu's voice came from afar. Hey, I just sat down, don't be so anxious. Haru held his forehead helplessly. I'm 2 years older than you, Natsu, you can't beat me. Who said age can decide everything? The iron fist of the fire dragon. The hot flame burned in Natsu's hand, and then rushed towards Haru. Well said, Natsu. Haru praised in his heart, and then stood up. Light magic, imprisonment. Haru's staff stood up, and the golden magic circle came out in response, and instantly formed under Natsu's feet. Damn it! Hal! Natsu was trapped in an instant, and the flames in his hands disappeared. He shouted unwillingly. Sorry, Natsu, I don't want to hit you. Hal put away his staff and turned to sit down. Natsu, you have already lost, stop shouting, Gray said with a gloating smile. Such a fast magic release speed, such a powerful binding magic, I guess I can't do anything in that state. Wakaba looked at Hal in shock. Young people nowadays are really amazing. Makao also understood the feelings of the old friend. After all, this is the future guild face selected by the president that year, ha 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 ha. Wakaba was very happy. I'm already looking forward to this year's S-level exam. After a few days, several teams that accepted the commission tasks came back. Hearing the news that Hal was back, they all came to Hal's door to find Hal. Hey, Hal, I heard that you have become very strong, and the president agrees that you can take the S-level exam. Kana happily hugged Hal's neck. She has developed a drinking problem in the past year. She spent the whole day in the dormitory yesterday to sober up after a hangover. Ah, Kana, long time no see. Let's go on the mission together when I take the S-level exam this time. Hey! I also want to take the exam this time. What if I pass? Kana, are you going to take the exam too? But you are still young. 13 years old is too anxious. Grandpa won't agree. You can take the exam at the age of 15, so why can't I take the exam at the age of 13? You can't beat me because I am 2 years older than you. Kana knocked Hal's head with a card and laughed. This sounds so familiar. And even if I don't pass this time, I will definitely pass it later. Kana's smile faded, and she looked towards the direction of the guild thoughtfully. Seeing Kana in a team so serious, Hal couldn't help but be stunned. He had never seen Kana so serious. It seems that there are many things in my heart that no one has told. Just like myself in the past. Kana, does the S-level exam have any special meaning to you? Hal couldn't help asking. Not really, if you want to know, wait until you defeat me, hee little Kana waved her fist cutely and answered Hal with a smile. Let's go to the guild, I wonder what commissions there are today. Hee. Kana jumped away, as happy as meeting Hal for the first time to do a task. Hal saw this, was silent for a while, and shouted, Hey, don't walk so fast, wait for me. Kana, we are very similar, but I hide it better, after all, I am not a child anymore. But recently, I feel that I am becoming more and more childish. It may be because of returning to the guild. Thinking about it, Hal smiled. We are family. One day you will tell me your secret. Before that, let me pay attention to you silently. Of course, my secrets are the same. The guild was just like the last S-level exam, with many people holding various banners. Since Laxus's promotion last time, the guild has been working hard for half a year. Yet, especially Kana, Urza and Myra, who are all unwilling to admit defeat and are working hard on tasks. Who do you think will qualify for the S-class exam this time? I guess, there must be Hal. Hal? You didn't come back last time, so you didn't see it. Hal's condensed magic power has long surpassed mine. I think I can't even hold up if I go up. The middle-aged guild member was speechless. Young people nowadays are really amazing. I understand you. The middle-aged guild member raised his glass and took a big gulp. Maybe, we should change jobs when we get old. Ahem, next is the announcement of the 779 S-Class Wizard Assessment. The contestants are Hal, Kana, Urza, and Myra. Makarov called out the names of 4 people in one breath. Then, the stage lights instantly shone on the 4 people in the crowd. Who is the lighting engineer? His hand speed is so fast. Hal complained. Amazing, this is the best in history. There are actually 4 people. Are you still only going to choose one person? How could that be? Having the qualifications doesn't mean you will be admitted. If the result of the assessment is too bad, the president will definitely not let you go. After all, our guild's S-level assessment is the best in Fiori, Wakaba exclaimed, spitting out a smoke snake. How can I repair it? Urza Sky actually has the qualifications for the assessment. I don't accept it. A certain childhood friend of Sakura jumped and shouted in the audience. Ahem, the content of this assessment is to fight with the former S-class wizard. I will judge whether you can advance based on the result of the fight. Makarov's majestic voice sounded, and the audience was silent. Laxus came from behind Makarov. Compared with a year ago, he seemed to have become taller, with a black cloak on his shoulders, and looked at the 4 people with a hint of indifference. He has become stronger. The 4 people reached a consensus in an instant. The assessment venue was moved to the seaside outside the guild, where a large magic arena was built, which seemed to have the effect of absorbing magic and transferring it. Where did this thing come from? How many good things does the president grandfather have? Everyone surrounded the arena, and President Makarov stood on another platform, overlooking the arena. Then we'll draw lots to decide who will win. No need to bother, you can all go together. Everyone only heard the roar of thunder, and the next moment Laxus appeared in the center of the ring, exuding an aura of contempt for everyone. As soon as these words came out, except for Hal, the expressions of the 3 girls instantly became gloomy. How arrogant, Laxus! Urza pointed her sword at Laxus with a very dissatisfied expression. Makarov on the high platform in the distance looked a little surprised, as if he didn't expect Laxus to look down on everyone with such a posture and tone. Laxus, don't break the rules of the assessment, Makarov's majestic voice sounded. In order to be fair and avoid a round-robin battle, this S-level exam will be assessed for 1 day per person, for a total of 4 days. Laxus was silent, looking at everyone quietly. Laxus seems to have changed a little. What happened in the year I was away? Hal had a little doubt in his heart. But we'll know when we fight. Soon, Hal and the other 4 drew lots, and Hal was the first one. Chapter 12. The 2 of them were so excited that they had to face each other. On the guild's ring, Hal and Laxus stood at opposite ends, and the air was filled with tension. The 2 of them looked at each other, as if they had already started a silent contest. Why did you come up with a king bomb at the beginning? What do you mean? Hal is very strong. You were not there that day, so you didn't see how terrifying Hal's magic was. Can he be stronger than Laxus? The members of the guild held their breath, looking forward to this heavyweight showdown. Hal, you are very strong. You have become much stronger than the last time you took the test. I will do my best. Laxus did not take Hal seriously, but the huge magic power around Hal indicated that Hal was a strong opponent. Let's have a fair fight. Laxus spoke first, emitting strong electricity all over his body, and golden lightning flashed around him. His momentum was like a beast ready to go, and the powerful magic fluctuations made the air around him seem hot. Okay, I am looking forward to it too. Hal smiled, and the staff in his hand emitted a soft light. He knew Laxus was powerful, but he was also confident in his own practice. Start, Makarov shouted loudly. As soon as the battle signal was given, Laxus turned into a lightning and rushed towards Hal at an extremely fast speed. His lightning magic was fully demonstrated, and each strike had amazing destructive power and speed. Hal's eyes flashed with a trace of solemnity, and he quickly raised his staff, and a dazzling golden magic circle was formed instantly, covering the whole scene with light. This is the light magic he is good at. Light Hui not only blocked Laxus's attack, but also formed a powerful light shield to reflect the lightning. The powerful lightning flew along the edge of the ring and led to the sea. Boom! The sea seemed to be hit by a cannonball, and a 10-meter-high wave was blasted out. At the moment when the huge wave collapsed, the water splashed like raindrops, and a lot of splashing sea water splashed onto the ring with the aftermath of the lightning. The magic barrier on the ring emitted a faint light when it came into contact with the sea water. Although the barrier was powerful, some sea water still penetrated in. A few drops of sea water were also sprinkled on Hal and Laxus. Hal was slightly squinting his eyes, feeling the coolness. His cape swayed slightly, making him look even more heroic. Laxus stood there nonchalantly, the light of lightning flickered around him, forming a sharp contrast with the surrounding water droplets. His short hair and clothes were slightly soaked by the sea water, making him look even more fierce. Hal knew that this was just a test. Then, Hal took the lead, waving his staff, and the ground began to shake. The earth cracked, and streams of magma gushed out from the ground. Hal cast his earth dragon killing magic. Lava shock of the earth dragon. Magma and ground, the power of the two gathered together and turned into a huge burning earth dragon, which pounced on Laxus. Laxus was not to be outdone. He quickly gathered lightning with his hands, and a huge lightning dragon also appeared. The two dragons collided in the air, generating a huge energy fluctuation. Hal was shocked and took 2 steps back. Laxus could not see his figure in his field of vision. Laxus did not give Hal a chance to breathe. His speed was still swift. The body transformed by lightning approached Hal in an instant. His fist with lightning hit Hal fiercely, as if he wanted to decide the outcome at this moment. So fast! Hal barely reacted. But at the critical moment, Hal's left hand emitted a black light. His body began to turn into sand, which was the power of the desert fruit he held. Hal's figure became illusory, Laxus's attack passed through the sand, and Hal recondensed his body on the other side. Even so, the violent lightning still hurt Hal's body, and Hal knew that he could not give Laxus the opportunity to attack like this again. Damn, this elementalization consumes my magic power. Tree magic, wood tree world. Hal's right hand emitted a green light, and the power of life magic made the surrounding ground quickly grow dense forests. These trees not only have strong vitality, but also can absorb the surrounding magic power and weaken Laxus's attack strength. Laxus realized the threat of this forest, and he quickly released lightning in an attempt to destroy these trees. However, the forest controlled by Hal continued to regenerate, as if it had endless vitality. But this only slowed down Laxus's speed. At this time, Laxus knew that continuing to attack these trees would only waste magic power, so he turned his fist and looked at Hal. Too strong, this can't trap him. Hal panted slightly, and the dragon-killing power of the earth was helping him to continuously restore his magic power. The people in the audience only saw Hal and Laxus going back and forth in the arena. The dazzling light magic and the violent lightning were constantly intertwined, and the power of death and life were used alternately on the field. This battle is not only a contest of strength, but also a competition of wisdom and skills. On stage. Although Hal showed a variety of powerful magic abilities, Laxus's lightning magic was still unstoppable. Whenever Laxus accelerated his attack, Hal needed to respond quickly. As time went by, the magic power of both of them could not hold up. There was no way. Hal's magic power was not as strong as Laxus's now, but it had enough endurance. If S-class wizards were also divided into high and low levels, Laxus was undoubtedly a level stronger than Hal. To be honest, I didn't expect you to last that long, Hal. Laxus's calm voice sounded. When he was fighting, he was rarely affected by other emotions. This is an exam. I can't be too much. Let's decide the outcome with one move next. Okay, brother Laxus, Hal's voice sounded. Laxus was stunned for a moment, as if he didn't expect that he had such a high status in Hal's heart, and then he couldn't help but smile. Humph, Hal, if you can withstand this move, you will pass. Laxus roared, and the power of thunder and lightning in his body burst out instantly, unfolding a huge golden magic circle, and the surrounding air seemed to be filled with thunder. He raised his hands high, and the violent thunder and lightning quickly gathered together to form a huge thunder ball. The lightning ball flashed with dazzling blue-white light, like a star full of destructive power, and smashed towards Hal with irresistible pressure. Violent Volt. It was also used on Natsu in the anime, but that was too perfunctory. As Laxus's first move without using dragon-slaying magic, its power only broke some of the church's floor. Faced with such a powerful offensive, Hal held his staff tightly with a solemn expression. He took a deep breath, concentrated all his magic power, and cast his strongest light magic. A dazzling beam of light burst out from his hand, rushed into the sky, and turned into a huge magic circle. The huge power seemed to tear the sky apart. The beam was as white as snow, containing pure power, and with a sacred breath, it faced the lightning ball. Light magic holy judgment. The two huge energies collided violently in the air, and instantly burst into a blazing light and deafening vibration. The air was full of the interweaving of electricity and light, as if the whole world was trembling in this impact. The moment the lightning and the light beam met, there was a huge explosion, and the shock wave caused the surrounding audience to retreat again and again. The force of the final collision exceeded Hal's limit, and Hal used the last of his magic power to transform into vines, trees, and rocks to block himself. The thunder ball finally broke through the defense of the light beam, and the lightning rushed towards Hal like a tide. The next moment, the lightning was absorbed by the ring and transferred to the sea, leaving only the last trace of aftermath. Boom! With a loud bang, the sea surface seemed to be hit by a giant hammer, and a huge wave 10 meters high was instantly stirred up. The wave stayed in the air for a moment, and then quickly fell, making a huge sound of water. At this time, Hal's body on the ring was slightly burned by the aftermath of the lightning, sweat oozed from his forehead, and his body half knelt on the ground, and his breathing seemed rapid and heavy. His magic power was almost exhausted, and even with the power of the Earth Dragon to help him recover, he could not withstand such a terrible consumption. "I lost, Laxus," Hal said with a pale face. He still couldn't beat Laxus now. The two sides were too far apart in terms of magic accumulation and skills. Although Hal had more means and more entangled magic, he was still easily resolved by Laxus. He didn't even have time to use light magic to imprison Laxus. Opposite Hal, Laxus stood still, and the lightning on his body continued to flash. His blonde hair was slightly wet, but his eyes flashed with a more blazing light, showing a strong confidence. Under the ring, the audience watched this scene intently. Makao wiped the water droplets on his face and exclaimed, "This is not an ordinary battle. This kind of power is simply incredible." Wakaba frowned, with a bit of awe in his voice, "Their strength has far exceeded the scope of our imagination. Are these two really young wizards?" Levi covered her mouth, her eyes wide open, and her heart was full of shock at this amazing power. Gray and Natsu were also shocked by the scene in front of them. Shocked beyond words. This was the first time they had seen a fight between S-class wizards. Gray felt the cold breath brought by the aftermath of the cold water and lightning, and couldn't help but clench his fists, while Natsu's eyes ignited a more ardent desire to fight. The two looked at each other, and at the same time, they felt the desire to become stronger. At this time, President Makarov slowly walked to the center of the ring. His small figure seemed particularly short on this wide ring, but his majestic aura made everyone stand in awe. Makarov glanced at the guild members, and finally cast his eyes on Hal, very happy. He smiled and nodded to Hal, and announced in a loud voice, "Everyone, the first day of the S-class exam is over." Hal showed extraordinary strength and courage in the fierce duel with Laxus. Although he failed to completely defeat Laxus in the end, his performance has fully proved that he has the qualifications to become an S-class wizard. After a pause, he took a deep breath and said solemnly, "Hal, from today on, you are the S-class wizard of fairy tale." As soon as the voice fell, the whole audience burst into warm applause and cheers. Najgra and other guild members rushed to the ring, surrounded Hal in the middle, and congratulated him. Hal showed a gratified smile, feeling the enthusiasm and care of his companions. Even after a year of hard training, he still felt that being recognized by everyone in this home-like guild was his greatest happiness. On November 12, X779, Hal Michidor was promoted to become the third S-class wizard of fairy tale. His strength and potential were among the best in fairy tale, and he was regarded by Makarov as the face of the guild for the next 40 years. Chapter 13. The battle was over, and the battle was over. Even though Hal successfully advanced, the remaining 3 days of the S-level exam were still in full swing. The guild members were still fully committed to every aspect of the exam. Myra, Urza, and Kana took turns to show their strength to Laxus. Poor Laxus, he had to fight for 4 consecutive days. "But I will help you share the burden next year." Hal silently mourned for Laxus in his heart. On the day of the competition, Urza's fighting power reflected by the costume magic was impressive, showing amazing resilience and talent. Even in the competition, she showed the power of her ultimate move, Heaven Wheel Armor Circular Dance. The Rain of Swords was as graceful and powerful as she was. Of course, the process of changing clothes also attracted a large group of wolfhounds to scream. Even the president couldn't take his eyes off. "That's enough, she's only 14 years old, a bunch of perverts." Having said that, Hal also watched very seriously. After all, Urza's battle was really good to watch. Although Urza's performance was very encouraging, she did not win the exam in the end, but her tenacity and perseverance deeply inspired everyone in the guild, and laid the first batch of guild fans for the future fairy queen. Myra's battle was also interesting. Although her receiving magic Satan's soul had not been fully mastered, the powerful destructive power and lightning-fast speed still amazed all the guild members. When Myra left the stage, it was Kaina's turn to play. Compared with Urza and Myra, Kaina was a complete intellectual fighter. The card magic she used had multiple compound abilities to produce compound effects, and even caught Laxus off guard for a while. At the beginning of the game, Kaina quickly unfolded her card magic. Her cards flew in the air, and each card exuded a mysterious light. Kaina skillfully combined several cards to form a complex magic circle in an instant. Laxus quickly launched a lightning attack, but Kaina's card magic seemed to be able to accurately rebound and dissolve these attacks. Her magic is not just a simple attack or defense, but also includes a variety of clever compound effects. Her wind card suddenly released a strong light, cutting off Laxus's lightning, forcing him to quickly change position to avoid it. Laxus frowned, obviously a little surprised by Kaina's clever tactics. He tried to break through Kaina's defense with more powerful lightning attacks, but every attack was cleverly resolved or turned into a situation favorable to her by Kaina. Kaina not only responded with flexible tactics, but also constantly adjusted the battle situation, using different combinations of cards to deal with Laxus's offensive. It's really unexpected. Wakaba, who was standing at the edge of the ring, couldn't help but exclaimed, Kaina's card magic can actually put Laxus in a passive position. She does have her own uniqueness. Makao nodded, his eyes full of admiration for Kaina. But that's all. The previous one might be Laxus's temptation or intentional concession. When Laxus really got serious, Kaina was quickly defeated. Kaina, your card magic is amazing, but the attack power is still not enough. Laxus recognized Kaina's performance. Although he still stood firmly on the ring, his admiration for Kaina was obvious. Kaina looked a little tired, but her performance still won warm applause and encouragement from the guild members. Kaina, you are really great. Natsu and Gray both paid tribute to her. Her outstanding performance in the battle impressed Gray and Natsu. After the battle, Kaina sat on the edge of the ring, with a little fatigue and loneliness in her eyes. Makarov walked to Kaina's side, patted her shoulder, and encouraged, You did a good job, Kaina. Every challenge is an opportunity to grow. No matter what the result is, your efforts are worthy of recognition. Kaina nodded, and a firm light slowly flashed in her eyes. Thank you, President, I will continue to work hard. Then she slowly walked down the ring. Under the stage, Hal's eyes were full of joy. You are so great, Kaina, you have improved a lot compared to a year ago. Thank you, Hal. Kaina simply answered, and Hal found a chair to sit down and started drinking. Hal was stunned, as if he didn't expect Kaina to be so cold. It seems that the heart is not as calm as the surface. Hal didn't know what to do, so he had to drink with Kaina. It tastes so-so, Hal frowned after taking a sip, but he continued to drink. Kaina slowly put down the glass and whispered, The taste of wine is always like this. When you are in a good mood, it will make you happier. When you are in a bad mood, it will make you more silent. Hal heard her words and felt the complex emotions in Kaina's heart. He was silent for a while, then said softly, Anyway, you are really great. Your performance in the ring not only surprised Laxus, but also made all of us proud of you. Kaina smiled slightly, but there was a hint of bitterness in that smile. Thank you, Hal. It's just that sometimes even if you try your best, the result is still difficult to change. But it doesn't mean that your efforts are meaningless. Hal looked at her seriously. Every battle is growth, every failure is experience. What you can learn from it is more important than any victory. Kaina raised her head and looked at Hal's firm eyes, and her heart seemed to be a little more settled. She sighed softly, Maybe, but sometimes it's really hard to accept that you can't achieve your goals. Hal nodded and said with understanding, I understand. Everyone has their own goals and expectations, and sometimes we are overwhelmed by these expectations. But the important thing is that we can't give up because of this. As you said, every challenge is an opportunity to grow. Kaina looked at him, with a glimmer of gratitude in her eyes. You are right, Hal. Thank you. She picked up the wine glass and raised a glass of wine, for our growth, for future challenges. Hal smiled and raised the glass, for growth, for the future. The two clinked their glasses and drank the wine. The other members of the guild also began to gather and share their feelings and experiences of the game with each other. Natsu and Gray have begun to discuss the next training plan, while Urza is silently thinking about her shortcomings. Makarov walked to the middle of the group and smiled at the group of young wizards. Every battle is a valuable experience, not only to test your strength, but also to let you understand each other. After all, we are family. Remember, no matter you win or lose, you are the pride of the guild. Everyone responded in unison, yes, President. Perhaps in the hearts of Hal and other young wizards, this S-level exam is not only a challenge, but also a valuable growth experience. Everyone found their own shortcomings and future directions in it. Although the game has not yet ended, everyone's heart is full of new determination and expectations. Chapter 14. The old man was very happy, and the old man was very happy. Magnolia Town. Since the S-class wizard assessment ended, Hal has been at home to accumulate his magic power and make plans for the next step. As a modern man, Hal has many ideas for improving the current Magnolia Town. The purpose is to make money, and after all, this is the city where their guild is located. Since he has the ability to make it better, he certainly can't stay out of it. After thinking about it, Hal decided to find someone, Uncle Yuka. It was the uncle who brought Hal to the guild when he first came to Magnolia Town. His home is next to the house that the president introduced to him at that time. It is worth mentioning that Natsu and Happy lived in Hal's previous house. After all, Hal promised Anna to take good care of these children. Although only Natsu can be found now. Thinking of this, Hal had a headache. He had asked around during the 9 months of training if anyone had seen the little dragon slayer, but nothing came of it. I don't know what happened to those children. Hal can only figure out a solution for this matter. Even Anna can't find out. Hal came to Uncle Ika's door and was about to knock when he heard a noise next door. Oh! It turned out to be Natsu's house. Lisana is also in there. They have a good relationship. Hal's eyes gradually became gossipy. Hal is very concerned about Natsu, the idiot, most of the time. Natsu now eats part of his 3 meals a day at the guild, and part of the time he comes to Hal's pond to eat buffet. After all, there is no way. This guy can't catch big fish in the eastern forest. Maybe fishing is too early for Natsu. What are you doing, making so much noise? Uncle Ika, why are you here too? Hal decided to see Natsu and pushed open the door. Unexpectedly, Uncle Ika was also here. The group gathered together to eat barbecue. Hal's house originally had a courtyard at the door. He used earth magic and tree magic to make a simple courtyard inside. Oh, brother Hal, this is the meat I just left over from my business trip. I'm too old to eat it, so I came to find Natsu. Uncle Ika was grilling meat and feeding Natsu with a happy face. It can be seen that he seems to like this brat Natsu very much. At this time, Natsu finally saw Hal. Ah, Hal, I just wanted to ask Happy to call you, but Happy, the idiot, ate too much and couldn't walk. Natsu shouted happily to Hal with a mouth full of oil. What do you mean you wanted to call me, but ended up eating too much? Don't you think these two sentences are contradictory? Hal held his forehead. These two funny guys are really different. Come sit down, brother Har, Uncle Ika has a lot of meat and it's grilled deliciously, come and try it. Lisana moved a chair for Har and smiled at Har. Lisana is still considerate. Har couldn't help but burst into tears in his heart. Hal sat down and took the barbecue from Lisana. The smell of the barbecue made his appetite open. He took a bite and gave a thumbs up. Not bad, Uncle Ika, with this skill, you can open a store in Magnolia Town. Har did not hesitate to praise. Ha 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 ha, I still like to do business, it always brings new convenience to the people in the town. Uncle Yuka, what are your ideas for the future? What ideas? I want to make money happily every day and provide a solid financial support for my daughter who works in the council. Hey? So your daughter works in the council? Yes, she doesn't have magic talent either, but she is particularly yearning for magic, so she works as a clerk in the council. Every time she comes back, she tells me all kinds of interesting stories. Talking about his daughter, Uncle Yuka's smile became even stronger. Speaking of doing business, Uncle Yuka, I can help you. You should just go back and forth to Harjan most of the time, right? Yes, after all, the trade route is not easy to travel now, and there are many monsters. Harjan is the safest place. Why is brother Hal asking this? While Hal was enjoying the barbecue, he was thinking about how to put his ideas into practice. He knew that if he could open up a new trade route, it would not only make Magnolia Town's economy more prosperous, but also bring more income and resources to the Fairy Tale Guild. And Uncle Ika's many years of business experience was exactly the valuable resource he needed. After thinking for a while, Hal took a sip of the drink handed to him by Lysina and said with satisfaction, "Actually, I have an idea." Hal put down the drink in his hand and looked at Uncle Ika, his eyes full of expectation. "We can try to open up a new trade route to connect more towns and villages." In fact, in Hal's mind, villages are the main thing, because after all, there are trains between cities in this world, but they only exist in major cities, and small villages like the ones Hal visited during his first mission do not exist. But cities are also good. If there is a trade route, with the speed of the monsters in this world, it can be said that there is a continuous flow of trade. Uncle Ika raised his head curiously, and Natsu and Lysina also stopped their actions and listened carefully to Hal's proposal. "Natsu, this kid is full, right?" Hal complained in his heart, and Natsu never cared about these things before. "I can use the magic of the earth and trees to open up a safer and faster trade route," Hal continued. "Not only can it reduce the danger on the road, but also provide more options for other merchants. We can establish this trade route in the name of Fairy Tale to ensure the safety and stability of the trade route." Uncle Ika pondered for a while and nodded, "This sounds like a good idea. In the name of Fairy Tale, it can indeed give people more trust. But how do you plan to do it specifically?" Hal smiled and said, "First, we can make a route plan and select some suitable towns and villages as transit stations. Then, I will use magic to repair and strengthen this road to make it flatter and safer. We can also set up some post stations along the way to provide merchants with places to rest and replenish supplies. Members of Fairy Tale can take turns to serve as guards on this trade route to ensure the safety of merchants." When Natsu heard that there was a chance to fight, he immediately said excitedly, "Then leave it to me. Whoever dares to make trouble, I will beat them away." Lysina also agreed, "This will not only make the merchants more at ease, but also bring more tasks and income to our guild." Uncle Ika looked at the enthusiastic look of the young wizards and couldn't help but smile. "I am very happy with your enthusiasm. Okay, Brother Hal, I agree to your proposal. However, the opening of this trade route requires a lot of funds and manpower. How do you plan to solve it?" Hal nodded. He had already considered these problems. He said with great confidence, "We can conduct a small-scale trial run first and choose some relatively safe routes and partners. As for the funding issue, I can solve a large amount of funds and manpower by myself. At most, I can ask a few idiots who don't like to do commissions from the guild to assist in the road selection. For example, the idiot Knob." Hal said in his heart. "That guy in the guild who works in front of the commission board every day but never does it. I don't know where he gets the money to live." In addition, we can seek the support of the guild and let other interested businessmen participate, invest together and share the benefits. Besides, with my magic, I can directly use magic to create a post station along the way. In fact, his earth dragon slaying magic can continuously restore magic and physical strength as long as he stands on the ground. Compared to normal wizards, he doesn't have to worry about insufficient magic." Uncle Ika thought for a while and smiled approvingly, "If you can really do such an amazing thing, then we can try it, and I will fully support your plan. We can start with Harujian and see how it works." Hal nodded happily, "Thank you for your support, Uncle Ika. We will definitely do this plan well." They agreed on a detailed plan and decided to take action in the next few days. Hal plans to go to the guild to discuss with President Makarov and win the support of the guild. At the same time, he also plans to invite some experienced businessmen and other members of the guild such as Valian, the big brother who talks, Pidgeotto, the big brother who dances, and Ridasu, the big brother who draws, to participate. By the way, there is also Marcus, who is very smart about doing business. The one who returned to the guild 7 years later to challenge Natsu, used sand magic, and sold figures at the guild stall 7 years ago. Our guild is really full of talents. Hal couldn't help but sigh in his heart that there were so many more candidates. A few days later, Makarov waved his hand and started to act. With the strong support of the guild, Hal and Uncle Ika led a small team to start the initial development of the trade route. Hal stood at the starting point of the new trade route, took a deep breath, and began to use his magic. He waved his hands gently, and the golden magic circle appeared, and the earth demon. The magic quickly unfolded under his feet. The originally rugged ground became as flat as a mirror under the effect of his magic. Large pieces of rocks and gravel were cleverly sandwiched into the cracks of the earth, and then slowly closed, as if they had never existed. He continued to cast magic, using magic to twist the earth to create roads in those difficult canyons. And slowly raised the road to the towering peaks, making the road flat and wide. Whether it was a bottomless canyon or a towering mountain, Hal could handle it easily. His magic power was not only to repair the terrain, but also to open up a safe and convenient passage for this new trade route. In addition to these, Hal also used tree magic. He waved his hands again, and rows of sturdy and tall fences rose from the ground. These fences created by magic have extremely high defense and can effectively protect the trade route from damage. At the same time, he also thoughtfully planted small flowers along the road on both sides. These flowers not only add beauty to the business road, but also make merchants feel relaxed and happy during their journey. Because this is destined to provide a wonderful journey for the town, the guild, the family, and Hal himself. He hopes that this road can bring more prosperity and opportunities to Magnolia Town. Uncle Ika and other members watched Hal's work and couldn't help but sigh at his magic attainments. It's incredible, Hal's magic is simply a stroke of genius. Uncle Ika exclaimed. Natsu also shouted excitedly, it's so cool. When the road is repaired, I must run a lap on this road. Natsu is so stupid, this must be a road for carriages, Habi said to Natsu. Carriage? Forget it. Natsu lost his spirits instantly when he heard about the carriage. Listener smiled happily and said, this road will definitely bring more tasks and fame to the guild. For the next month, Hal has been devoted to the construction of the road. He used magic to repair the road, set up post stations, and invited merchants to test run it. During this journey, Hal became more adept at mastering earth magic and tree magic, and always had new insights. This new trade route gradually took shape, and more merchants began to travel between towns through this road. Since then, family commissions have appeared in the guild, and the guild has paid commissions to commission members to maintain this trade route. Fairy tale. The concept of family is often mentioned in the book. Makarov regards his guild as his own family, and the members of the guild are family members who cannot be harmed. The members of Fairy Tale take turns to serve as guards, which not only ensures the safety of the trade route and earns income, but also wins the trust of merchants. The new trade route has brought more business opportunities and prosperity to Magnolia, and the reputation of the guild has become more famous. In this process, Hal felt that he was not just a wizard, but more deeply a part of this city and guild. His efforts not only brought him a sense of accomplishment and a lot of money, but also benefited the entire town and guild. Hal felt extremely satisfied and proud. Chapter 15. Bien Ngzem Vn Bng Cha Dch, Coth Kyo Sung Kwai Trang Ch and Bn Dch. More than a month has passed since Hal opened a new trade route. During this period of time, he obviously felt that the members of the guild were becoming busier, and the impact of the establishment of business channels was initially revealed. Even when Natsu went to another city for a mission recently and ate at a restaurant, he missed a meal. It can be seen that everyone's living standards and quality of life have improved significantly. Hal nodded, he felt very satisfied. Recently, apart from using light magic and flying to check the new trade route between Magnolia and Harujun, Hal has been studying the staff he obtained during his 9-month training journey at home. This ancient staff in Hal's hand is a great harvest in his spiritual journey. The wooden surface of the staff was covered with small cracks and wear, making it look extremely old and heavy. Every crack seems to be telling the years and winds and frosts it has experienced, as if it contains endless stories and legends. The top of the staff is inlaid with a magic gem, which shimmers with warm light. This light is not dazzling, but it has a reassuring power. The light of the gem changes with Hal's state of mind, sometimes bright and sometimes soft, as if responding to his heart. This gem not only symbolizes the storage and transmission of magic power, but also a symbol of the strength and wisdom he gained after practicing for a year. But Hal always felt that this staff had a secret existence. Hal clearly remembered the feeling when he first held this staff. His staff was very powerful and made of many rare magic materials, such as dragon scale crystal, phoenix feather and moonlight wood become. These materials have powerful magic storage and transmission capabilities. Since getting this staff, Hal has rarely encountered opponents. There is no way, his increase is really too terrifying. Not only does he cast spells faster, it also brings his magic control to a new level. Every time he casts magic, the staff can make his magic more concentrated, more powerful, and even has a guiding effect. Even without this staff, his casting speed has undoubtedly improved significantly. This thing is so powerful. If I had a few more awesome magic items in my hand, wouldn't I be able to do the Holy 10? Hal secretly thought in his heart. He wanted to find more magic props. He was forced by financial problems before, but now that the business route has been opened, Hal is almost the richest person in the entire fairy tale. There may even be few rivals in Fiori in a few years, and this is the huge benefit brought by the business road. He can now search for powerful magic amplifying items without any scruples, without being troubled by money. However, it is probably difficult to find a magic item as powerful as the staff in his hand. This staff is probably super rare. After thinking about it, Hal's eyes fell on the gem at the top of the staff. How do I feel that this gem is echoing me? Hal looked at it suspiciously. He's never noticed anything like this before. Wait, dragon scale crystal. Hal suddenly thought of the knowledge he learned when reading at Leby's place. Dragon scale crystal is a rare magic prop, and making it into a staff has special effects for dragon slayer wizards. Bonus. That is to use the dragon slayer's blood to drip into the gem on the staff, and the staff will be endowed with the properties of the dragon slayer. Thinking of this, Hal quickly took a bite of himself. The moment the blood on his hand touched the gem, a golden dragon-shaped magic circle appeared, and a huge light enveloped the entire staff. After the light gradually dissipated, Hal was surprised to find that the appearance of the staff had undergone earth-shaking changes. The originally plain wooden surface became more solid, shimmering with a faint golden luster. The gem at the top looks even more dazzling after the light fades, exuding a deep and powerful aura. The most surprising thing is that the properties of the staff have also changed. It not only retains the original magic effect, but is also endowed with the properties of the earth, giving it a more powerful magic amplification ability. Ah, he seems to have become super hard. I feel that using earth magic to hit people with it will be super effective. Hal couldn't help but have this idea in his heart. Hal felt the shocking power coming from the staff, and he knew that this change would greatly enhance his combat ability. The staff not only enhances his control over earth magic, but also increases the effectiveness of his overall magic. The change of the staff allows him to gain stronger power when casting earth magic, and can be more powerful to easily carry out large-scale terrain transformation and defense construction. If I face Laxus again this time, I can easily use earth magic to defend against his lightning. Moreover, Hal threw out a magic circle. Almost instantly, a huge rock spike rose from the ground. The staff has taken my dragon-killing magic attack and release speed to a higher level. At this speed, the opponent probably didn't even see my magic circle clearly before it was pierced. Wait, where is it pierced? Hal looked at the huge rock spikes and couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. Fortunately, I won't be my opponent, otherwise it would be a terrible thing. For several months afterwards, while Hal was doing the guild's commission, he was looking for his favorite magic props everywhere. It is worth mentioning that all the wizards who have seen Hal perform magic, whether his opponents or allies of the Guild of Light, were shocked by his magic. Every time Hal cast a spell, he showed jaw-dropping power, making people feel his perfect control over his own magic. Whether in fierce battles or in ordinary training, Hal's ability to control magic and his majestic look always arouse the admiration of others, which makes him have a great influence in the magic world. Almost everyone, as long as they see the red jade hanging on his chest and the staff in his hand that is as tall as his height and the gemstone is shining with golden light, will involuntarily think of Hal, the new S-class wizard of fairy tale, one of the strongest candidates. This staff is not only a symbol of his power, but also deepens his reputation in the magic world. Hal's name, along with his staff, spread among every magician and became a topic they talked about with relish. In the end, this powerful influence and unparalleled skills gradually earned him a loud and noble title in people's hearts. Master of Nature. Chapter 16. The New Year is Coming. X779 Hal used magic to build the new trade route of Magnolia Harjan by himself. Since then, his almost perfect control of magic and powerful strength have attracted widespread attention in the magic world, and he is called the Master of Nature. X780 Urzashukalito, who was only 15 years old, passed the S-class wizard assessment after Hal and became the 4th S-class wizard in the guild. She is also the youngest S-class wizard in the history of the guild. X781 newcomers Loki, Bisksa, and Arzik joined the Fairy Tale Guild. In the same year, 16-year-old Myra Jane Strauss passed the S-Class Wizard assessment and became the 5th S-Class Wizard in the Guild. In X782, Lysina Strauss died due to an accident during a mission. The Guild fell into grief, leaving an indelible shadow on the Guild members. At this time, Hal was on a mission outside and returned later. Everyone placed Lysina's grave behind the Magnolia Church. As a result, Myra's temperament changed drastically, from being lively and aggressive in the past to being gentle and introverted, and gradually staying away from fighting. Elfman also fell into deep self-blame and pain because of his mistake that caused the death of his sister Lysina. In the same year, Miston Gang passed the S-Class Wizard assessment and became the 6th S-Class Wizard in the Guild. Since then, the Guild has had 5 strongest candidates at the same time. Their strong strength and reputation attracted many powerful wizards to join, and Fairy Tail entered a stage of rapid development. In X783, due to the emergence of powerful wizards in the Guild, Fairy Tail gradually took the lead in the Kingdom of Fiori and became the first wizard guild in the Kingdom of Fiori in people's eyes. Fire Dragon Natsu, Ice Wizard Grey, super popular Loki gradually entered the hearts of the younger generation and took their place, and the reputation of the Guild gradually resounded throughout the Ishgar continent. 5 years, a new beginning. The roar of the Earth Dragon. A huge roar with lava spewed out of his mouth, instantly turning into a huge wave of boiling flames, rushing towards hundreds of thieves. The heat of the flames distorted the air around them, and the thieves jumped and rolled in panic, trying to avoid this devastating attack. Damn, this guy is Hal, the controller of nature. This is inside a shabby and dark thieves' guild, with gold nuggets scattered all over the floor and the walls covered with old decorations that had been in disrepair for a long time, creating a desolate and chaotic atmosphere. The ground around was covered with dust and broken furniture, and occasionally there were a few low groans and hurried footsteps. The thieves' anger spread in this narrow and unbearable environment, and the anger and unwillingness in their hearts were as hot as flames. Hal's figure in front of them looked particularly tall and upright in the shadows. His height has grown to 185 centimeters, and his broad shoulders and strong muscles make him look as stable as a mountain. He was wearing an elemental magic cloak, which fluttered in the wind, as if it was mixed with his magic. The edge of the cloak was inlaid with delicate magic runes, which emitted a faint light in the battle, providing Hal with additional protection and amplification. On his left hand, 5 different magic rings each flashed a unique light, and each ring was inlaid with gems of different colors, symbolizing the power of various types of magic. The magic light of the rings echoed each other in the battle, forming a wonderful magic resonance. Quick, gather! Use your magic to repel that guy! The leader of the Thieves' Guild ordered loudly, revealing an unquestionable majesty in his voice. He was in a terrible mood now. His guild was destroyed like this by a wizard. The wizards of the Thieves' Guild all had gloomy faces, and dangerous magic lights flashed in their hands. They were obviously unwilling to be defeated by Hal so easily, and decided to make a last-ditch effort. Suddenly, several strong magic arrays broke out in the dilapidated hall. A thief raised his hand and cast Dark Ripple, and a dark magic ripple flew out of his palm, as if to shatter Hal. Another thief bit his finger and turned the blood into a red blood blade, trying to hit Hal with the spinning blood blade. Hal saw the magic coming and quickly adjusted his fighting posture. His staff drew a golden arc in the air, facing the dark tier. The gem on the top of the staff flashed a dazzling golden light, emitting a powerful magic. The magic wave blocked the dark tier. At the same time, he turned around and waved his staff to resist the flying blood blade, causing it to be deflected. How is it possible? He actually used the staff to deflect my magic. The members of the Thieves' Guild couldn't believe it. However, the thieves did not give up. Another wizard from the Thieves' Guild cast the magic of freezing and condensation, and a blue light shot out from the staff, trying to freeze Hal's movements instantly. Hal's face remained unchanged, and the light on the staff became more blazing. He cast a holy sword light at a very fast speed to cut the light and finally destroyed it completely. In the battle, Hal's movements were still elegant and smooth. Facing the enemy's fierce attacks, he was calm and unhurried, as if he was enjoying the rhythm of the battle. Although the thieves continued to attack, Hal could always easily resolve them. Every time he waved his staff, it seemed to bring irresistible pressure, breaking the enemy's magic power one by one. Almost, are you ready? I've enjoyed enough. Hal looked at the leader of the Thieves' Guild with a smile. He had been accumulating magic power since just now. The leader of the Thieves' Guild gritted his teeth, and a deep coldness flashed in his eyes. His robe fluttered in the wind in the ruins of the broken castle. The environment full of shabby gold nuggets and rocks added a bit of weird atmosphere to this decisive battle. Although Hal's smile seemed calm, the leader knew that this meant he had to go all out to avoid complete failure. "Do you think you can easily defeat me? I used to be S level." The leader of the Dark Guild said coldly. His palm danced in the air, and the black magic circle began to condense, forming a huge dark sphere. "Go to hell! Damn Light Guild!" The leader of the Thieves Guild roared and threw the dark sphere at Hal. The sphere rotated in the air, emitting suffocating dark energy, as if to devour all the light. Hal couldn't help but smile as he watched the dark sphere approaching quickly. "Remember, there is a gap even in S class. I am a wizard of fairy tale." Hal turned his staff, but his movements were swift and calm. A huge golden magic circle lit up under Hal's feet, reflecting Hal's majestic and unquestionable eyes. The ground began to shake violently, and soil and rocks emerged from the ground like life, quickly gathering into a towering earth wall. The whole process was just a moment, and Hal's spell-casting speed was as fast as the wind, leaving no chance for the dark sphere to approach. "Impossible!" The thief leader collapsed and knelt on the ground as he looked at the scene in front of him. How could there be such a perverted wizard? "No, I can't just die like this. As long as I sell that thing, I can get back everything I lost." The leader of the Thieves Guild's face changed, and finally became extremely indifferent. "Go, my guild members, kill him." The thief leader swung his staff, and a dark magic power crawled out of the guild emblems of other thieves to control them, and then they uncontrollably used their whole body magic power to attack Hal. "Hey, what's this? How come even the fallen people got up?" Hal couldn't help but complain. "Since you play like this, I can only be a little more serious. I thought it was an easy task." Hal sighed, his eyes full of helplessness. He has been out doing tasks for half a year. This is the last one. It was supposed to end easily, but he didn't expect the opponent to give him such a big job. Hal raised his left hand slightly, and a ball of deep black dust like magic light began to gather in his palm. Hal pushed forward, and the black light enveloped everything except Hal. "It's over." Hal's right hand staff lightly touched the ground. The next second, as the desert power of death spread, the stone bricks of the castle were gradually swallowed up and turned into pieces of sand. The dilapidated Thieves Guild, as if crushed by an invisible hand, became weak and eventually collapsed in the sand. The bricks and stones were ruthlessly crushed, forming a piece of gravel covering the entire ground. What happened? Seeing such a strange scene, the remaining members of the Thieves Guild shouted in confusion. But soon, they also became part of the sand, turned into mummies and disappeared with the sand. Not long after, the castle no longer existed, leaving only the dust and the ruins that were swallowed up, as if telling the ruthlessness and power of Hal's death desert. The breeze blew the sand. Hal stood in the ruins, and his staff touched the ground lightly, as if he was feeling every inch of change in the sand. His left hand was raised again, and he waved it gently, and the palm of his hand was. The magic power began to gather into a tiny black vortex. The sand and dust spun between his fingers, gradually being attracted to a point. Hal focused his sight on the depths of the castle ruins, where his commissioned item was buried, an important necklace. With a slight movement of his fingertips, the black sand and dust gathered above the necklace as if obeying a command, slowly raising it. Hal gently stretched out his hand, his fingertips passed through the air, and the necklace quietly fell into his palm. "Finally got it, the old men in the council have so many things to do. But as long as they can agree to my request, I can accept all of these." The surrounding ruins still exuded the breath of death, but Hal's figure looked particularly firm and majestic in the moonlight. He walked out of the castle ruins calmly, his eyes flashing with deep thoughts and expectations for future actions. On the other side, the port city of Harjan, after 5 years of continuous trade with Magnolia, the city seemed very prosperous and orderly. There are various buildings with fairy tale logos everywhere in the city. Some are retired guild members, and some are partners with fairy tale. And in this context, a girl who ran away from home and regarded fairy tale as her dream came to this city. Chapter 17. The weather was very hot, and the weather was very good. Fiori Kingdom, Port City, Harjan. The morning sun gently sprinkled on the streets, and the sea breeze blew gently, bringing a touch of freshness to this busy port city. A girl with long golden hair appeared on the street. She had long golden hair shining like the sun, which was naturally draped over her shoulders, swaying gently in the wind, exuding a soft luster. Her eyes were like clear ember, flashing warm and curious light, as if she was full of expectations for everything around her. She had fair skin, delicate features, a small nose, and a slightly upturned corner of her mouth, always with a sweet smile. Her figure was slender and well-proportioned, revealing the vitality and vigor of youth. Today, she wore a sleeveless white vest with a blue short skirt with a star pattern on the hem, which looked simple and full of girlish fantasy. A small key bag was tied around her waist, which contained her precious celestial key. Lucy Hartfilia stood on the street of the port, looking around, her heart full of yearning for adventure. Lucy has been yearning for the Wizard Guild since she was a child, especially the legendary fairy tale. Today, she came to Harujian with great expectations, hoping to find an interesting guild and start her adventure to become a celestial wizard. Suddenly, what Lucy didn't expect was that a man who called himself Salamanda suddenly appeared in front of her. This man used the name of fairy tale to show off everywhere, which aroused Lucy's curiosity. "Are you also a wizard of fairy tale?" Lucy asked with doubts and expectations. "Of course, little beauty, I'm the famous salamander." The other party smiled proudly and used a flame magic between his fingers. Lucy felt something was wrong, but she decided to follow him to see what was going on because of her yearning for fairy tale. However, just as Lucy was about to inquire further, something unexpected happened. A cherry-haired boy wearing a strange red and black coat and a blue magic cat with wings suddenly appeared in front of her. The boy rushed up desperately and interrupted the so-called salamander. "Who are you?" Lucy looked at the sudden appearance of the pair in surprise. "My name is Natsu, this liar is not from fairy tale at all." Natsu accused the other party without hesitation. "Yes, he is really a liar. You have been on the guild's commission. We have rescued so many girls who have been deceived," echoed the blue magic cat Happy, sticking out his tongue. Happy and Natsu came all the way from Magnolia to catch the fake fairy tale this time. Thanks to Har, the guild has received more and more commissions of all kinds, especially in cities and villages connected to the new trade route, where there are not only more tasks but also more rewards. This is the guild's efforts to maintain the stability of the new trade route. This time, Natsu and Happy came all the way from Magnolia to catch the fake fairy tale. "I didn't expect to be so lucky and catch you so quickly." Natsu looked at Salamander excitedly. The other party was a slender man with cunning eyes. Natsu aimed at him from a distance. "Who are you? Why are you stopping me?" Salamander showed a disdainful smile, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Natsu was wearing a black and red coat, and he didn't notice the emblem on his arm. "How forgetful this person is," Natsu just introduced himself, Happy said speechlessly. "I'm Natsu Dragneel, the wizard of fairy tale. I've never seen anyone like you." Natsu shouted loudly, his voice became low and serious, his clenched fist began to burn with flames, and a hot breath spread. "I will never forgive those who pretend to be my family." Natsu rushed up quickly. Salamanda sneered, "I didn't expect the real owner to come to the door, but as long as I kill you, everything will be solved." He waved his hand violently, sending out a purple flame, the flame flying in the air, as flexible as a venomous snake, attacking Natsu. This purple flame carries a strong fluctuation of magic power, enough to burn people instantly. However, Natsu was not afraid at all, but showed an excited smile. "You can also use fire magic?" "Unfortunately, for me, this is just a snack." Natsu opened his mouth and directly swallowed the oncoming purple flame. Purple flame entered his body and disappeared instantly. Natsu chewed with a satisfied look, "Power will surge out after eating, thank you for the treat." Seeing this scene, the fake salamander showed a horrified expression. He obviously didn't expect that his flames were completely ineffective against Natsu. At this moment, he understood that the boy in front of him was not an ordinary wizard, but a dragon slayer wizard with dragon slayer magic. The flames burning around Natsu's body raised a faint black smoke, blurring his face, but the golden eyes were like a sword piercing through the thick smoke, piercing straight into the heart of Salamander. At this moment, his heart was instantly shrouded in an indescribable fear, and he recalled in his mind. "That white scarf like dragon scales, that cherry blossom like hair color, you are the real fire dragon." "Correct answer, but unfortunately there is no reward." Natsu smiled, and then his right hand burned with flames, and a red dragon-shaped magic circle burning like flames came out. Natsu didn't give the other party more time to react, he launched an attack instantly. "Fire dragons, Iron Fist." Natsu's fist was wrapped in blazing flames, he suddenly jumped and punched Salamanda. The blazing fist of fire hit the other party instantly, knocking him out and hitting a pile of goods on the dock with a loud noise. The power control is good. I won't be scolded by Hal and Grandpa this time. Natsu shook his arms and nodded with satisfaction at the damage caused to the goods on the dock. Lucy stood aside and witnessed the whole battle. Her eyes widened and looked at the boy in front of her in disbelief. The scene just now made her heart beat faster. She looked at Natsu's golden eyes, which were extremely dazzling against the background of the flames, as if they could penetrate all darkness and bring absolute power. The flames on Natsu's body danced with his movements. She could even feel the hot breath emanating from Natsu. This breath seemed to penetrate her heart, making her feel an irresistible sense of oppression. This is the real fire dragon. Lucy couldn't help but mutter to herself. Hey! This is the power of the fire dragon slayer mage. Happy proudly responded to Lucy on the side. The legendary lost magic. Lucy obviously knew this magic. Hey! You are also a mage, you know it so clearly. Happy looked at Lucy with some surprise. Just when Lucy wanted to say something to respond to Happy, Natsu came over. Let's go, Happy, this order is over, there are 30 WJ. Natsu called Happy excitedly. Hey! Lucy hurriedly ran forward, with a flash of expectation in her eyes, and a hint of eagerness and longing in her voice. Wait! Can I join your guild? I have admired fairy tales since I was a child. Natsu was stunned when he heard this, and his expression gradually changed from excitement to confusion. Guild? You want to join fairy tale? Happy flew over from the side, hovering in the air, flapping his blue wings gently. His expression seemed a little excited and curious. Well, this is a bit unexpected. Lucy nodded, her face full of expectation. Yes, I have always dreamed of becoming an excellent wizard like you. I heard that fairy tale is the best guild, there are many legendary wizards in it, I hope to be one of them. Natsu looked at Lucy's eyes, and suddenly felt that this girl seemed to have some similarities with him, both of them had a strong pursuit of adventure and dreams. He smiled slightly. Although he didn't have full control over the decision to join the guild, he still felt a little excited. Do you really want to join fairy tale? That's not an easy thing. While flying around, Happy grinned and said, hee, but we can take you to see the guild. If you really decide, there may be a chance. Lucy's eyes flashed, really? That's great. I will definitely work hard to prove myself. Natsu and Happy looked at each other and nodded, obviously satisfied with Lucy's determination. Okay, then we will go back to Magnolia now. Natsu turned and walked towards the inn in the distance. Happy flew in front to guide the direction, and Lucy followed closely. Let's go, there are many things to talk about on the way. Arriving at the inn, Natsu took Lucy to see a carriage with the fairy tale logo. The bright logo on the carriage was particularly conspicuous in the sun. The carriage looks simple and solid, with the fairy tale logo painted on the body. Full of power and glory. By the way, let me show you, this carriage is specially prepared for a wizard like me, called the dragon carriage. It won't make me carsick, I like it very much. Natsu asked Lucy to get on the carriage while stroking the body of the carriage, and it seemed that he couldn't let go of this carriage. Do you get carsick? Lucy looked at Natsu curiously. In his eyes, a wizard like Natsu shouldn't have this little problem. Well, it's the unified weakness of Dragon Slayer wizards, or did Hal tell me? Natsu answered Lucy's question seriously. He had a good impression of Lucy for no reason, and told her his weakness generously. Ah! Isn't this very important? It's terrible to tell others. It doesn't matter. I have nothing to hide from my family. Lucy's cheeks blushed and she looked at Natsu cutely. Everyone who joins the guild is my family to me, Natsu answered Lucy in a straight man's way. But I haven't joined yet. Didn't they say that the assessment is very strict? Maybe I think Lucy is a good person, and the assessment is a lie to you, hee. Hey? Too much. Lucy looked at Natsu in shock. Hey, this is Natsu. Join the guild, and I'll introduce you to the president when I go back. Natsu looked at Lucy with a smile on his face. Lucy felt Natsu's sunny smile, and a little palpitation rose in her heart. She looked at his firm eyes and warm smile, and felt an inexplicable sense of security and expectation. Thank you, Natsu. Lucy smiled slightly, with a hint of gratitude and shyness in her voice. As the carriage started and drove away from Harjan, the conversation between Natsu, Lucy, and Happy became relaxed and pleasant. Natsu and Happy introduced Lucy to the interesting things about the guild, while Lucy shared her own star magic and dreams for the future. The carriage was filled with a cheerful atmosphere, and the journey ahead was full of infinite possibilities and hope. At the same time, not far from Magnolia, Hal looked up at the starry sky and sighed softly. The stars twinkled in the night sky, as if responding to his meditation. He seemed to sense the subtle fluctuations of the intertwined fate of Natsu and Lucy in the distance, as if foreshadowing that the journey of this young man and girl was about to begin in this magical city. Chapter 18. The sun is shining brightly, and the sky is full of stars. Magnolia, Eastern Forest. As the night deepens, the starlight in the woods shines through the leaves and sprinkles on the ground, forming a starry sky like light and shadow. Hal walked alone on the quiet path, his steps light and firm. The night breeze around was blowing gently, with a little coolness, and the elemental magic cloak fluttered slightly in the wind, making a soft sound. Hal looked at the brightly lit magnolia in the distance, and felt an indescribable sense of tranquility and belonging in his heart. The journey of many days is about to end, and he is about to return to the place full of laughter and bustle, the Fairy Tale Guild. Thinking of this, Hal's mouth corners can't help but rise slightly. Here I slightly modified the time when Lucy and Natsu returned to the guild, mainly because I found that it was all night scenes while writing it shouldn't have much impact. At the same time, in the center of Magnolia, the carriage that Natsu and Lucy were riding in had already entered the streets of Magnolia. The prosperous urban night scene and the bustling streets made Lucy, who came here for the first time, full of novelty and excitement. She looked through the window at the bustling crowds and brightly lit streets outside, her eyes full of expectations. That's the Cathedral of Cardia. Go up along this road and you will see the guild. We're almost there, and I'll introduce you to my guild companions then. Natsu said to Lucy with a smile, his voice full of joy and sincerity. Lucy looked at Natsu's sunny smile and felt a warm excitement in her heart. She couldn't help but blush on her face, turned her head slightly, and replied. She felt that she had a love at first sight liking for this big boy, and couldn't help but scold herself for being a fool in her heart. There's a relationship. Looking at the scene in front of him, Happy rolled his tongue and teased. Shut up, dead cat. Lucy's heartbeat didn't last long before she was interrupted by Happy. Soon, the carriage stopped in front of the guild and Natsu and Happy took Lucy out of the car. Lucy looked at the huge door with the emblem of Fairy Tale engraved on it. She took a deep breath and felt her heartbeat speed up. At this moment, she finally stood in front of the place she had always longed for, with excitement and nervousness intertwined in her heart. Welcome to Fairy Tale. Natsu said happily. He opened the door, and the scene of the guild rushed into Lucy's eyes in an instant. The guild hall was full of laughter and joy, and all kinds of wizards were active in it. Some were drinking and having fun, some were discussing tasks, and some were competing in magic on the training ground, which seemed extremely noisy. This is the Wizard Guild, it's so noisy. Lucy's excitement didn't last long before she couldn't help but want to complain. She had never seen such a noisy place. Natsu led Lucy through the crowd and walked towards the bar. Behind the bar was Myra Jane, the current commissioned manager of the guild. She saw Natsu and Lucy coming and smiled gently. Natsu, Happy, you're back so soon. Did the mission go well? Myra greeted Natsu and Happy familiarly. Ah! That was quite smooth. Natsu, who returned to the guild, was obviously much more relaxed. He found a chair in front of Myra and sat down carelessly. By the way, Myra, this is Lucy. She wants to join our guild. Natsu introduced loudly. Lucy was shocked by Myra in front of her. Myra Jane, it's her. What a beautiful and gentle person. Lucy often saw Myra's beautiful photos in the weekly magazine Sarah. She was someone she liked very much. Myra Jane is not only the star wizard of the guild, but also a well-known model. Her photos and stories often appear in magazines. Myra Jane, who is now 19 years old, is undoubtedly graceful and elegant. She is completely different from the Shamit style when she was a child. She wears a simple and elegant long dress, which sets off her tall and slender figure. Although she has no gorgeous decorations on her body, she still exudes a gentle temperament. Her long silver-white hair falls on her shoulders as softly as moonlight. Her eyes are as clear as sapphires, shining with gentle and charming light. Marajana's face is soft and beautiful, and her smile is warm and full of affinity, making people feel like spring breeze. As the poster girl of the guild, Marajana's gentleness is recognized by the guild members, and everyone likes this beautiful girl in the guild. Ah, a newcomer? There are very few newcomers so beautiful recently. Myra Jane. Turning her attention to Lucy, she couldn't help but praise her happily. Myra's catchphrase. Hello, Miss Myra Jane, I'm Lucy, I use celestial magic, and my favorite things are books and magic. Looking at Myra in front of her, Lucy was obviously a little nervous, and her voice trembled slightly. Myra nodded slightly and smiled gently, welcome, Lucy. Celestial magic is a very unique magic, and few people can master it. Just call me Myra. Just then, a naked man wearing only underwear and a bracelet on his right hand appeared next to Myra and Lucy. He slapped Natsu, who was watching the show, and shouted. You stinky, you stole my mission, right? I told Myra this morning that I would go to Harjan to do the mission and buy some things by the way. You tore up the mission and ran away when I turned my head. You kid, you must have done it on purpose, right? Gray angrily pushed Natsu's face and fought with Natsu. Who cares about you? If you want to do the mission, do it quickly. You are dawdling there, you pervert. Then the two began to curse at each other at a very low level, punching and kicking each other without mercy. Allah Allah. Looking at the familiar scene in front of her, Myra couldn't help but look at the two gently. What's going on? He's obviously two different people outside. Lucy complained in complete incomprehension. In Lucy's eyes, Natsu is obviously a mature and stable boy. But he became barbaric and aggressive after entering the guild, which made her filter slowly disappear. Hey, this is Natsu. He is completely two different people when he goes to work alone and when he returns to the guild. Happy explained to Lucy while eating fish. Maybe he was disciplined by Hal. Since he took on several missions with Hal, that guy has been strictly controlled. Kana also appeared beside Lucy. Hello, Lucy. Kana extended her hand to Lucy and introduced herself. Hal? Lucy briefly introduced herself to Kana and asked curiously. One of the strongest candidates of fairy tale, the outside world seems to only know his title, and few people know his name. Kana carefully explained to Lucy. The legendary nature controller. It turns out that his name is Hal. Lucy finally understood who he was talking about. Hal's title in the outside world is well known, but his name is always hidden. But it's so strange, such a powerful wizard, why is his name not known to the public? Lucy expressed her doubts to Myra. That's because the council is afraid that our fairy tale's reputation is too big. A voice came from above. Lucy looked up and saw a short old man slowly walking down from the second floor of the guild. He was wearing a funny pajamas with stars and moons printed on it, and a pair of soft slippers on his feet. His white hair was messy and his beard was fluffy. Although he looked a little funny, his bright eyes flashed with wisdom, as if he could see through people's hearts. Ah, President, you want to rest, why are you down? Myra looked at the president with a smile on her face. This person is Makarov, the president of Fairy Tale. Lucy was surprised. She didn't expect the president of the guild to be such a short old man. The old man jumped down the last step lightly and landed steadily on the ground. He walked towards Lucy and said with a smile, Welcome to Fairy Tale, I am Makarov Dolia, the president of the guild. His words were gentle and full of majesty, and Lucy instantly realized that the old man in front of her was the leader of the guild. Makarov continued, There are many excellent wizards in our guild, but we do not pursue fame. We only hope that every member can live and grow happily. Misunderstandings from the council and the outside world are inevitable, but we don't care about them. We exist for each other's bonds and dreams. His eyes looked at Lucy gently, as if welcoming her to join this big family. Lucy looked at the president in front of her, feeling both respect and peace of mind. She nodded, with a gleam of expectation in her eyes. President Makarov smiled slightly, nodded, and took out a small seal and a bottle of special ink from his pocket. He gently dipped the seal in magic ink and turned to Lucy. Well, now I officially welcome you to become a member of Fairy Tale. Where do you want to put the seal? Makarov looked at Lucy and said. On the back of my right hand, I want to see it all the time. Okay. Makarov raised Lucy's right hand, and saw a golden magic circle appear, and the pink seal was firmly pressed on the back of her hand. Lucy looked at her hand. The emblem on her back, her eyes were full of excitement and emotion. She gently stroked the emblem, feeling a warm power from the guild as if it was transmitted to her heart. From now on, you are one of us. President Makarov said with a smile, his voice full of love and care. No matter what happens, we will be here to support you, welcome to join this big family. Lucy took a deep breath and nodded, thank you, President. Her voice was full of determination and gratitude, and her eyes were even a little wet. After running away from home, she went to so many places, and for the first time she felt the warmth of home. Lucy was very happy. At this moment, the door was pushed open again, and a tall and familiar figure walked in with a staff in hand. It was Hal. He had ended his journey and returned to the guild. He smiled and looked at the lively scene in the hall, and then his eyes fell on Lucy next to the president. Is it a newcomer? Hal walked up and looked at Lucy in a friendly manner. His voice was gentle and full of magnetism, giving people a sense of stability. Welcome back, Hal, this is Lucy, she just joined us. Myra introduced. Hal nodded and stretched out his hand, welcome, Lucy. I am Hal, and we will be partners in the future. The moment Hal saw Lucy, he remembered his identity as a girl, and couldn't help but want to chat with Lucy happily. But he still turned his eyes and looked at the short old man next to him. President, I'm back, this mission has ended perfectly, I hope those people in the council can abide by the agreement. Welcome back, Hal, don't go far this time, stay at home with your family. Makarov's eyes were full of kindness and relief, once the little boy has become the pillar of the guild. After briefly reporting the mission to the president, Hal turned to the people in the guild hall. He saw Natsu excitedly discussing the new member Lucy with Myra, and Kana sitting on a high stool next to the bar, holding a bottle of wine in her hand and smiling. Gray was not far away, and seemed to have just finished a friendly competition with a companion, with some bruises on his body. Hal walked towards them with a smile and greeted them in a gentle voice, hey, everyone, I'm back. Natsu was the first to notice Hal and waved excitedly, Hal. You're back. How was the mission this time? It ended smoothly, everything went according to plan. Hal nodded in response, and then turned his eyes to Kana, still like to observe everyone while drinking. Kana smiled and raised the bottle in her hand to indicate, you know, Hal, this is my way to relax. Gray also came over with a smile on his face, welcome back, Hal. Natsu has caused us a lot of trouble during your absence. Hey, Gray. Don't talk nonsense. Natsu immediately protested dissatisfiedly. Hal chuckled, it seems that I missed some interesting things, and Natsu has become calm. I heard rumors about you outside. You did a good job. He patted Natsu on the shoulder, then looked at his friends around him and felt a familiar and warm atmosphere. After saying hello, Hal walked upstairs. He turned around and waved to everyone, I'll go upstairs to sort out the information of the task first, and come to me if you have anything. After Hal went upstairs, President Makarov was also ready to leave the hall. He smiled and looked at the people downstairs, and said gently, okay, everyone continue to have fun, and I should go to rest. As he turned around and prepared to go upstairs, Lucy followed him with her eyes. President Makarov slowly stepped onto the stairs. Although his steps were slow, each step seemed steady and powerful. His figure gradually disappeared at the corner of the stairs. Lucy looked at his departing back and thought sharply in her heart. The president came downstairs to see Hal, right? Lucy whispered to herself, with a thoughtful look in her eyes. Ah, Lucy, you guessed it right, Myra chuckled and said softly. The president has been worried about Hal these days. After all, he has been away for half a year this time. There was a hint of relief and comfort in her tone. Lucy widened her eyes in surprise when she heard this. Half a year. She murmured, not expecting Hal to be away for so long. She became more curious about this Hal, and at the same time she felt the deep emotional bond between the president and the guild members. Myra looked at Lucy, with a hint of worry in her eyes. Yes, Hal's missions have always been special and dangerous. Although the president looks relaxed on the surface, he is actually always thinking about him. She. Smiling, he continued, but now he's back, everything is fine. Lucy nodded, and seeing Myra's smile, she also smiled. She gradually felt a sense of belonging in her heart. This guild was not just a place where powerful wizards gathered, but also a big family full of care and warmth. Chapter 19. The two of them were very happy. It has been half a month since Lucy came to the guild. During this period, Lucy and Natsu Happy teamed up to go on many adventures together, and got a clearer understanding of the unique personality of this big boy. She gradually got used to Natsu's rough nerves and occasional unconventional behavior. In addition to the adventures with Natsu, Lucy also rented a house in Magnolia for 70,000 yuan a month, which is quite cheap in the rental market of Magnolia. Lucy was very happy about this because it provided her with a comfortable place to stay. Except that occasionally Natsu would jump up to the second-floor window and come to her room without saying hello. It seems that Natsu is a rough-nerved idiot except for doing tasks. Lucy couldn't help blushing and thinking, how can you come to a girl's room so casually? Lucy's voice was clear at first and then became faint. Early that morning, Lucy got up and stretched, brushing her teeth with sleepy eyes. After washing up, she suddenly saw Natsu and Happy playing chess in the living room. Lucy, you got up so late. Natsu raised his head leisurely and greeted her in a familiar tone. Hey, lazy cat. Lucy. Happy also raised his paw to greet Lucy. Shut up, dead cat. And Natsu? Why are you in my house so early in the morning? Lucy couldn't help but feel a little angry, and a faint blush appeared on her face. She had just woken up and was not fully awake yet, but she was caught off guard by this sudden scene. Natsu shrugged nonchalantly, there's nothing to do. There's nothing fun in your room, and the last novel is gone. Happy and I are so bored. Natsu's tone was full of helplessness. Ah, don't mention the novel. Lucy blushed. She had a dream of becoming a novelist. She usually wrote a lot of her favorite plots, but she didn't expect last time, she was discovered by Natsu, and now she feels embarrassed and annoyed when she thinks about it. Okay, Lucy, let's go to the guild for breakfast. I feel like there will be something interesting today. Natsu waved his hand carelessly. He and Happy basically went to the guild for breakfast every day. Now that Lucy is a dining partner, it's even better. She goes to the guild with her every day. Lucy looked at Natsu and Happy, with a little dissatisfaction on her face, puffed up, very cute, but still infected by their enthusiasm, and finally nodded, okay. Let's go to the guild. Just then, Happy suddenly raised his paw and pointed at Lucy with a smirk. Wait, Lucy, are you going to the guild in this outfit? Lucy is so bold. Lucy realized that she was talking to Natsu and Happy in her underwear. Her face instantly turned red like a ripe tomato. She turned around and ran to the bedroom to change clothes. However, she suddenly remembered that her room did not have a door or wall between the bedroom and the living room, so she stopped. She turned around and shouted angrily, you two, get out of here. Natsu and Happy were startled by the sudden roar and looked at each other. Natsu pointed at the scarf around his neck mischievously and pretended to be innocent. Lucy, don't be angry, we didn't see anything. You wore it around your neck. Oh, weird, I clearly remember that I wore it around my eyes. Stupid Natsu, get out. Lucy blushed and obviously didn't want to pay attention to Natsu, the idiot. Happy covered his mouth to prevent himself from laughing, and patted Natsu's shoulder. Hurry up, puff, let's go out and wait for her. The door closed quickly, and the laughter of Natsu and Happy rang out outside. Lucy heard their laughter, and although she was a little angry, she also felt a little helpless. She quickly went back to the bedroom to change her clothes, and then walked out of the room again. Natsu and Happy were waiting for her downstairs. Okay, let's go. Natsu looked at Lucy and said with a smile. Lucy was angry and didn't respond to him. The blush on her face had not completely faded. Really, Lucy, don't be angry, I'll treat you today. Natsu continued to greet with a smile. I want to eat the guild's unique strawberry cake. But that's expensive, Natsu couldn't help but yelled. Hey, I don't care, let's go, I'm hungry. So, Lucy took the initiative to walk in front of Natsu and Happy, and her steps became noticeably lighter. Natsu and Happy looked at each other, then laughed and hurried to catch up with Lucy. Then, the two and the cat walked happily towards the direction of the guild. The morning sunshine of Noria shone on them, adding a bit of joy to their day. In the guild, Hal was bored on the second floor. He had been back to the guild for half a month. Every day, he would lie down at home or on the second floor of the guild. Occasionally, he would drink with Kana, or watch Natsu, Lucy, and Happy quarreling. Really, how come the atmosphere in the guild has become sour and sweet? Hal was a little uncomfortable. Although Natsu's magic power has become stronger and his personality has become more stable under his devilish training, he didn't want to date Lucy as soon as he met her. Hal couldn't understand why his younger brothers around him had girlfriends, but he was still alone in this world. Speaking of which, Hal had never thought about dating people when he came to this world. He thought more about getting stronger, or helping the guild to become better. In recent years, even Kana has teamed up with Loki, and has dated several boyfriends at other times. What should I do? Hal began to worry. He and Gray and Kana's team had not been on missions together 3 years ago. The reason was simple. With Hal, the missions became too easy. Gray and Kana were embarrassed to go on missions with Hal later, so their first team was disbanded. I feel so sad. My recent strength improvement is getting less and less obvious. I need to fight. But I still want a relationship. Thinking about it, Hal began to roll around in Hal's room on the second floor of the guild. Ah, Hal, am I here at the wrong time? Suddenly, Myra stood at the door of Hal's room. At this time, Hal stopped moving instantly, his hands and feet became stiff, and he turned his head and looked at the door woodenly. Myra! Why did you come up suddenly? Hal was embarrassed to death. The reason why he was so relaxed was because there was no one else on the second floor except him. Laxus, Miston, and Urza were all out on a mission. The guild leader usually drank downstairs. Myra was usually busy at the guild bar. She had no time to come up, and no reason to come up. I came up to call you. Urza is back. She is teaming up with Gray, Natsu, and Lucy to go on a mission. I am a little worried, so I asked you to accompany them. Anyway, you are bored recently, aren't you? Myra walked into the room with a gentle smile on her lips, her eyes full of concern, and a hint of evil. Hal was stunned for a moment, then stood up pretending to be calm. Is that so? That's really interesting. Urza, Natsu and Gray, what an interesting combination, and then ran down the second floor like escaping. In Hal's room, Myra couldn't hold back a smile on her lips. She had never seen Hal in such a shameful posture. Fortunately you came up. This little discovery made Myra very happy. She was very interested in Hal's appearance just now, as if she had found a treasure. Since Lysana's death, Myra has been hiding her negative emotions and pressure from everyone. She helps her companions with tasks, cooks, and chats with them every day to enrich herself. But every time Hal comes to her, Myra feels a sense of pressure, afraid that he will see through her disguise. Whether it is when Hal first came to the guild to help her overcome psychological barriers, or when Hal is in front of everyone in the guild, he is a very majestic and calm image. He is the object of everyone's yearning in the guild. Today, she actually eavesdropped at the door for a long time before coming in to let Hal find her. When she saw Hal's embarrassing appearance, she couldn't help but feel an incomparable intimacy, because she was the same. I caught Hal's little secret, Myra couldn't help but clenched her fists happily and said darkly. Myra stood at the door of the room with a smile, with a gentle care in her eyes. Her feelings for Hal are complex and deep, not only for his personal appreciation, but also for the precious comfort and understanding he brought to her. Whether it was when he helped her overcome her psychological barriers to the Devil's Hand when she just joined the guild, or the powerful and majestic look that gave people peace of mind in the guild on weekdays, Myra felt a different emotion in her heart. Hal, you are really special, the girl whispered lightly, walked down the second floor briskly, returned to the bar, and looked secretly in Hal's direction. At this time, Hal sighed. I heard from Myra that you are going to team up together for a mission. It's really rare. How about taking me with you? I have nothing to do since I came back for so long. Hal smiled at Urza and Natsu and the others. Okay, I'm very happy that you can come, Hal. Urza first showed a look of surprise, then a smile appeared at the corner of her mouth, and she agreed to Hal. Gray, we are teaming up again. This time you can't use the previous excuse to run away again. Hal then looked at Gray. Teasing cordially, but looking at him seriously. In fact, Hal understood that Gray said before that he was afraid that Hal would delay his work, but in fact, he was more thinking that it was his weak strength that dragged Hal down. Seeing Hal say this, Gray couldn't help but be moved. Ah, I couldn't ask for it. I have become stronger now. Gray said with a smile, looking at Hal. Okay, let's start our cooperation after a long time. Hal walked forward and put his arm around Gray's shoulders and said. At this time, everyone in the guild hall gradually noticed the situation here. They saw Hal, Urza, Gray and Natsu Lucy gathered together, and they were shocked and excited. Wow, look at this lineup. Someone whispered in surprise, these 4 people are on a mission together, it's amazing. I didn't expect Hal and Urza to team up. This team is definitely the strongest in fairy tale. Another person added excitedly, with a gleam of anticipation in his eyes. Gray and Natsu, plus Hal and Urza, can really be said to be the strongest team of fairy tale, Myra exclaimed with Lucy on the side. That's too much, they didn't even count me. At this time, Happy was floating in the air with tears. The strongest team. Then wouldn't I be a drag if I went there? Lucy realized what happened this time. She had just joined the guild for less than a month, and she inexplicably became a member of the strongest team. It's okay, Lucy. I heard rumors about you on the way back. I heard that you killed the vicious monster Vulcan. With one punch. You are very strong, so don't be modest, Urza said matter-of-factly. Where did this weird rumor come from? Lucy complained silently in tears in her heart. Lucy couldn't help but look at Natsu for help, but unfortunately Natsu was transformed into Happy number 2 at this moment and had no time to take care of her. Hey! Natsu couldn't protect himself at the moment. He was afraid of 3 people in the guild, Urza, the president and Hal. He didn't expect that 2 of the 3 would come together to form a team. In this way, the group set off, and their target was Onibus. Chapter 20. On the train, Hal and Urza were discussing the details of the mission. Natsu, Lucy and Urza were sitting on one side, and opposite them were Gray and Hal. So the target is the Iron Forest and Eligor, right? And that's Zeref's demon Lullaby. Hal understood the situation of this mission after Urza's announcement, and had an idea in his mind. I guess I don't need to do anything for this mission. Eligor sounds like a random wizard. Actually, I feel that the most important issue of this mission is not this. Hal looked at the opposite side. At this time, Natsu was in the Schrödinger state of vomiting. Lucy was very scared and tried her best to hypnotize Natsu. Natsu, hold on, don't vomit, please, Lucy cried in fear. At this time, Natsu leaned on Lucy's shoulder, his eyes were pale and his body was weak. Lucy had heard Natsu say that motion sickness was his weakness before, but she didn't expect it to be so serious. Looking at Natsu leaning on her side, she couldn't help crying. At this time, Urza spoke. This guy is really as unreasonable as before. There was a little pampering in her eyes. She hugged Natsu in her arms, and then punched Natsu in the abdomen at a lightning speed. Natsu fainted instantly, and for Natsu's health, Urza let Natsu lie on her legs, and Lucy was driven to the opposite side of Hal Gray. Looking at the fainted Natsu and Lucy who was madly trying to complain, Hal spoke after a long pause. You two are really close. Hey, is this a question of close relationship? There must be something wrong. Lucy complained madly in her heart. But not long after, Lucy saw Natsu lying on Urza's lap, and then looked at her fist, thinking. Hal noticed Lucy's eyes and movements, and couldn't help sweating. Girl, what do you want to do? The train rushed all the way to Onibus. It is worth mentioning that Hal was sitting on his light magic during the period. This was a trick Hal developed by himself. After all, he is also a dragon slayer. But unfortunately, this trick requires very high light magic skills, and stupid Natsu can't learn it. Light magic is really awesome. He can even transform himself into clothes, etc., and it was the president who taught him, so Hal is now wearing casual clothes, as if he regarded this mission as a group tour. Don't be so leisurely, Hal, Lullaby is a curse-type magic, it's hard to defend against, we have to be vigilant next. Soon, the train stopped at the station, and Urza reminded Hal out loud. At this time, Natsu was still in a state of fainting. Hal thought about it and took the initiative to use magic to take Natsu away with sand. Really, it's still as outrageous as before. Obviously he was knocked unconscious. Lucy still wanted to complain. Wait, Urza, don't get off the train yet, I saw the Iron Forest Guild you mentioned. Hal suddenly saw someone watching him next to him in the interval of releasing magic. He couldn't help but pay attention to it and saw the emblem of the Iron Forest. At the same time, he whispered to Urza. Hey? What's wrong? Lucy was a little confused. Didn't they arrive at the station? Why didn't the two get off the train? Urza. Gray also looked at Urza strangely. Are you sure? Trust me, things have become simple, but they seem to have accomplices. Don't worry, it seems that their destination is other cities. Hal was communicating with Urza through telepathy. Okay, I know, explain it to Gray and Lucy. Oh, and there is also Harpy. so the group suddenly sat down and communicated face to face through telepathy. Great, what kind of magic is this? We can communicate in our hearts. It's just a kind of telepathy, a small magic. Valian from our guild is the real master. They are in the last row of seats. I just confirmed their emblems with magic. Hal first answered Lucy's question, and then informed the location of the group of people from the Iron Forest Guild. Don't be careless, Grey, after all, they are also a dark guild with a lot of people. Besides, their guild's ace, Eligor, is also an S-class wizard. Take it seriously. Eligor has not been found yet. Let's wait and see. Grey nodded to show his understanding. In this way, the group did not get off until they reached Kruba station. Hal dragged Natsu along, and the group chatted and laughed, pretending not to notice. People from the Dark Guild. Just as they were about to leave the station, an accident happened. A man holding what looked like a death scythe suddenly appeared in front of Hal and the others. Just as Hal and the others were about to leave the station, a man holding a death scythe suddenly appeared in front of them. Rats from the Light Guild, do you really think that this death god, Eligor, hasn't discovered you? Die here. Eligor laughed wildly, and violent wind magic flew. He floated in the air, put his hands together, and released a green magic circle. The next second, a typhoon-like whirlwind hit Hal and the others. The strong wind pressure made the surrounding air vibrate violently, and the gravel and dust on the ground were swept into the air, forming a violent whirlwind impact. Everyone be careful. Urza reacted immediately, quickly summoned a giant shield to block in front, and tried her best to resist the oncoming wind pressure. But the power of the whirlwind was too strong, and the shield kept making a creaking sound, as if it could break at any time. I have arranged the time here so that Urza does not have time to summon the diamond armor. Grey quickly formed a seal and placed his hands on the ground. The ice wall quickly rose from the ground, trying to slow down the impact of the whirlwind. However, Eligor's wind magic power was far beyond expectations, and the ice wall gradually collapsed under the strong wind pressure. This guy's wind magic is really not covered. Hal analyzed calmly, he put his hands together, and the air around him began to emit a subtle humming sound. As his hands separated, the golden magic circle appeared in front of everyone, and a strong light burst out from his palm, forming a huge light shield. The light shield blocked the whirlwind, and the light and wind clashed fiercely in the air, making a harsh humming sound. What a troublesome guy! Seeing this, Eligor put his hands together again, and the power of the whirlwind increased again, as if to completely swallow Hal and others. Urza's face darkened, the giant sword in her hand shone with cold light, and she shouted, Natsu, Grey, prepare to fight back. Natsu struggled to get up from Lucy's legs. Although he had not fully recovered from motion sickness, the flames of fighting had already ignited in his eyes. Lucy is so fast. Hal watched the scene behind him with his peripheral vision. Roar! The roar of the fire dragon. Natsu took a breath suddenly, and a hot flame spurted out of his mouth and rushed straight to Eligor. Grey was not to be outdone, and his hands quickly formed seals, ice make. Hammer. The cold ice hammer was released from his hands and rushed straight to Eligor. The power of fire and ice mixed together, attacking Eligor's whirlwind. Hal strengthened the defense of the light shield on the side to ensure that his companions were not hurt. Eligor's face changed slightly, obviously he did not expect the opponent's counterattack to be so fast and powerful. He waved his hands violently, and the whirlwind suddenly intensified, trying to swallow up the attacks of Natsu and Grey together. However, Natsu's flames and Grey's hammer met in mid-air, forming a strong energy wave that hit the whirlwind fiercely. How is it possible? How can ice magic and fire magic merge into one attack? Eligor looked incredulous. Eligor! You underestimate us. Urza swung the giant sword in her hand suddenly, and a huge sword energy slashed towards Eligor. The sword energy cut through the sky, and with an extremely sharp momentum, it went straight to Eligor. Damn guys! Eligor was forced to retreat, and the whirlwind gradually weakened. A trace of vicious light flashed in his eyes. You are lucky this time, Kageyama, hold them back, don't forget our plan. The whirlwind dissipated, and Eligor's figure gradually disappeared in the distant sky. Hal and others looked at the gradually calming scene and breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that this mission will not be so simple. Hal muttered, looking into the distance with a firm gaze, as if he had sensed the next change. Hey, so many people, are these all the members of the Iron Forest? Lucy looked around nervously. She had just joined the guild not long ago and saw the siege of the entire Dark Guild. Although Eligor's figure disappeared, his departure did not make the situation easier. Members of the Iron Forest Guild came from all directions like a tide, with a number of hundreds. The members of the Dark Guild all had fierce eyes, holding their weapons tightly in their hands, full of hostility. At this moment, standing in front was Kageyama, using chilling shadow magic, ready to fight. Hal walked in the front, with sharp eyes and hands holding the staff tightly. Urza changed into the heaven wheel armor, unsheathed her two swords, and set up dozens of sharp swords around her body, ready to meet the enemy. Grey gathered the power of ice magic, and Lucy held the celestial key tightly, ready to summon the celestial spirits to help in the battle. Natsu was full of fighting spirit, and flames ignited from his fists. Step forward, Iron Forest Guild, let you see the power of fairy tale. Hal only conjured a staff, and his tone was relaxed, as if he didn't take them seriously. Kageyama sneered, waved his hands, and the black shadow spread on the ground like a living thing, quickly attacking Hal and others. It's just a flying insect. Be careful of his shadow magic, it can disappear out of thin air. Hal reminded loudly, and he instantly released a light barrier to block Kageyama's attack. Kageyama's shadow hit the light barrier and made a hissing sound, as if it was burned. He snorted coldly, and the shadow quickly retreated, and then his figure disappeared into the darkness like a ghost. Seeing this scene, the members of the entire Iron Forest Guild stepped forward together, folded their hands, and the energy of dark magic spread in the air. Attack! With an order, countless magic burst out at the same time. The entire venue was instantly enveloped by various magical lights, and flames, ice cones, dark energy balls, lightning, wind blades, and earth spikes rushed towards Hal and others like a tide. The air was filled with strong magical energy, and violent elemental forces were raging in every corner. Everyone be careful! Hal reminded loudly, and the light of light magic flashed in his hands, and continued to release a huge light barrier to block the front of the team. Change clothes! Heavenly wheel armor! Urza shouted loudly, and her body instantly changed into heavenly wheel armor. What a fast change speed, Urza has become stronger again. Hal, who was observing the battle from behind, couldn't help but exclaimed. She waved her hands, and magic swords fell from the sky, accurately shooting at the members of the Iron Forest Guild. Natsu, Grey, Lucy, let's go together! Urza commanded, her eyes full of fighting spirit. Natsu was behind her, and immediately ignited a blazing flame, Fire Dragon's Iron Fist. He suddenly jumped up, his fists burning with flames, and slammed into a group of dark magicians. The flames burst, bringing with them a blazing shock wave, knocking them away. You bastards, taste my flames! Natsu roared, his flames became stronger and stronger, as if he was going to ignite the entire battlefield. Grey quickly formed a seal, and ice magic condensed around him, ice shape. Ice hammer! A huge ice hammer formed in his hand in an instant, and smashed hard into the enemy's dense area, destroying the enemy's formation. Ice shape! Ice pillar! Grey continued to cast magic, and several ice pillars quickly rose from the ground, blocking the enemy in a small space, making them unable to move. Ice shape! Ice spear! The ice magic in Grey's hand quickly transformed into a spear, accurately stabbing the enemy's vital points, knocking them down one by one. On the other side, Lucy held up the celestial key and summoned a powerful celestial, open it, Taurus. Talos. Taurus Talos appeared on the battlefield, swung the giant axe in his hand, smashed it to the ground, and turned it into a shock wave, chopping the enemy to pieces. Urza's magic sword, Natsu's fire dragon power, Grey's ice shape magic, and Lucy's celestial spirits helped in the battle. The four of them cooperated tacitly and knocked down the members of the Iron Forest Guild one by one. The entire battlefield was shrouded in flames, frost, light, and the power of the celestial spirits, like a magical feast. Hal also caught the little pickled vegetable Kageyama while supervising the battle in the rear. As the last member of the Iron Forest Guild was knocked down, the battlefield finally quieted down. Lucy and others stood in the center of the battlefield, panting, their eyes full of the joy of victory. Well done, everyone! Hal finally spoke. Although he did not take much action, he had been observing the situation to ensure the smooth progress of the battle. It's a mission for the strongest team. It's thrilling and exciting. Lucy wiped the sweat from her forehead and said with a smile. Lucy had never thought about being besieged by 100 dark wizards before. This time she really tried super hard. At this moment, her magic power has been exhausted. However, Eligor is gone. We don't know where he went yet. Urza changed into a regular knight armor, looking at ease, and asked the key question at the moment. Hal answered Urza's question with a firm look. In this city, and the direction he left, it should be the direction where the old men had a meeting. Urza frowned. The guild presidents? But why? It is likely that they want to use Lullaby there. Hal's tone was full of certainty. Gray and Natsu looked at Hal in shock after hearing this. What? Wouldn't it be bad to let him run away? There is only this possibility. Hal nodded to confirm. What are you waiting for? We can't let him succeed. Natsu said anxiously, his fist already burning with flames. Don't worry, since I know this, I can't let him succeed. Hal stopped the anxious Gray and Natsu. He had a plan in mind. Hal's magic power rioted, and the elemental robe appeared on his body, emitting a strong light. Tree magic, vines rise. Hal whispered, and saw a huge green magic circle appear on the ground, and huge vines grew rapidly from the magic circle. These vines hovered flexibly, lifting Hal, Urza, Gray, Natsu and Habit, and rushed quickly towards Eligor like a huge magic elevator. Ah! The voices of 5 people and 1 cat sounded, and then rushed to the sky. The vines moved rapidly in the air, and the wind whistled past their ears. Urza, Gray and Natsu Lucy Habit tightly grasped the vines. At this time, Lucy stood on the vines nervously, her eyes full of amazement. Wow, is this Hal's tree magic? Lucy exclaimed, her eyes wide open. She had never seen such a unique magic, and the scene of the vines dancing in the air shocked her. This is Hal's magic, the magic of controlling nature, Urza explained to Lucy. No matter how many times I see it, it's really amazing, Gray also echoed. Ha 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 ha, I like Hal's magic and I won't get dizzy, go ahead. Natsu seemed very excited, and he didn't feel any discomfort under such a rapid movement. The vines in the air were moving rapidly, like a long green dragon shuttling between the blue sky and white clouds. The vines continued to stretch in the air, and as Hal's magic power continued to grow, they became larger and stronger. They hovered and intertwined in the air, like a vivid green painting, bringing people an unprecedented visual impact. The citizens on the ground were attracted by this spectacular scene, and they stopped and looked up. The pedestrians on the street were full of curiosity and amazement. The children's eyes were shining and they cried out in surprise. Look, what is that? A little girl pulled her mother's hand and pointed at the vines in the air, her voice full of surprise. Wow, big green vines. They are flying. Another boy shouted excitedly, looking up and staring at the long green dragon flying in the air. On Hal's side, Hal had successfully caught up with Eligor. Okay, everyone is ready, we are almost at Eligor's position. Hal's voice was majestic and firm, and he could not forgive the behavior of attacking the president grandfather. Chapter 21. The wind whistled in their faces. Haru led the vines to fly quickly in the air, and the surrounding wind whistled in their faces. Urza, Gray, Natsu Lucy and Happy held on to the vines tightly. As their flying speed continued to increase, Eligor's figure gradually appeared in the distance. Haru took Urza, Gray, Natsu Lucy and Happy to catch up with Eligor. The 5 people and the cat landed and faced this violent wind wizard. Eligor floated in the air, surrounded by a fierce whirlwind, and the raging wind blew the surrounding trees and the ground. Eligor seemed to feel some kind of uneasiness, and a trace of shock and panic appeared on his face. He obviously didn't expect Hal and others to catch up so quickly. How is it possible? Someone can catch up with me. A trace of uneasiness flashed in Eligor's eyes, and he hurriedly took a defensive posture to prepare for the upcoming battle. Hal looked at Eligor and silently calculated the strategy of the battle in his heart. He knew that the enemy this time was not as easy to deal with as in the anime. The powerful wind magic could bounce off most of the attacks of Natsu and others, and the ability to fly freely in the air was very tricky. Haha, it seems that you are really bold and dare to chase here. Eligor regained his composure at this time, and his hands quickly formed a magic circle, ready to release his wind magic. This place is not far from the house where the guild presidents are meeting. Hal looked at Eligor in front of him and realized that he had to fight quickly. Hal waved his hands, and the green magic circle appeared, and a huge vine bound Eligor. Eligor roared, waved his hands violently, and a green magic circle appeared, and violent wind burst out from him. Storm coat. The violent storm burst out from his body, forming a huge storm coat, which wrapped him from the inside out. Then, a huge tornado formed instantly and expanded rapidly, completely blocking the vision of Hal, Urza, Gray and Natsu. Oh no, he wants to run. Hal understood Eligor's intention in an instant, and then golden light appeared in the tornado, and a golden giant sword cut through the tornado from the inside out. Eligor! Don't try to run! Natsu roared and rushed out of the remaining whirlwind, and then looked towards the center of the city. No way, he wants to use Lullaby in the city. Urza seemed to think of something and shouted anxiously. Hal didn't expect Eligor to be so decisive. This was different from his memory. When he saw Eligor's appearance and his name, he had already recalled the strength of this wizard in his mind. He was definitely not strong. At least in the early stage, Naz could burst out to solve it, but now he began to doubt his memory. Eligor in front of him definitely had the strength of a high-level S-class wizard. He broke free from Hal's restraints with just a short burst of strength. Catch up with him, and never let him blow the flute. Hal's heavy voice sounded. He knew he would pay the price for his negligence. Eligor flew in the city. His goal was the meeting place of the guild presidents, and he had to use Lullaby before they arrived. Don't try to escape, we won't let you succeed. Hal's voice sounded behind Eligor, and they were already close. Eligor looked back, with a fierce smile on his face. Is it too late? You can never stop me. Eligor was suspended in the air, laughing wildly and looking down at Hal and others below. The violent wind magic was released from him, stirring up gusts of wind, destroying the surrounding buildings to pieces. The towering bell tower and solid stone buildings were crumbling in the storm, and broken tiles and bricks were flying like raindrops. Ha ha ha! You can't stop my power at all. Eligor laughed arrogantly, his hands dancing quickly, releasing more tornado-like wind magic. How can it create a feeling of fighting a boss? What happened to this world? Why is it completely different from the plot in my memory? Is this also a butterfly effect? Hal looked at Eligor in front of him, and his heart became more and more puzzled. Eligor's magic seemed to be stronger. A tornado flew out of Eligor's hand and rushed directly to the city streets below. Wherever the tornado passed, shops were blown to pieces. The streets were overturned, the carriages were swept into the sky, and the citizens screamed and fled in the storm. The whole city seemed to be caught in a doomsday catastrophe. If this goes on, the whole city will be destroyed. Urza gritted her teeth, her eyes full of determination. Her armor made a harsh metallic sound in the storm, but she still did not flinch. We must stop him. Gray said calmly, and the ice-shape magic quickly condensed in his hands. Hal quickly summoned a large number of giant trees to try to heal the citizens. This was the embodiment of his life force, which was far higher than the ordinary tree magic itself. Since we have come to the city, there is no way. Try to get rid of him with the least damage. Hal's voice was firm, and he quickly decided to take action. After confirming that there were no ordinary people within a few hundred meters around, Hal's magic power burst out again, and he waved his hands, and the ground under his feet began to shake violently. The earth magic was brought to the extreme by him, and the surrounding crust began to rise. With Hal's control, from the sky, a huge platform rose from the ground, lifting the area where Eligor and Hal and others were high into the air. Eligor looked at the rapidly rising ground under his feet in astonishment, and couldn't help showing a trace of horror. Hal's magic power was too strong, and he had never seen such an amazing crustal lifting. He wanted to fly away immediately, but the speed of the crust lifting was getting faster and faster, and he was hit hard on the ground. This is your doomsday, Eligor. Such crazy destruction in the city is no different from a demon. Hal said coldly, and the vines emerged from the ground again, quickly entangled Eligor's body, restricting his movements. Eligor struggled frantically, trying to blow away the vines with wind magic, but this time Hal's vines were extremely tough and bound him tightly. As Hal waved his hand, the earth platform continued to rise, and soon lifted Eligor and Hal and others to a height of hundreds of meters. A trace of fear flashed across Eligor's eyes, but it was quickly replaced by anger. He looked at Hal with gritted teeth, and suddenly released a strong gust of wind, trying to tear the vines apart. At this time, Urza, Gray, and Natsu quickly ran to Hal, skillfully formed a formation, and waited for Eligor. Since you want to die so much, then go and die. The black magic power on Eligor's body appeared, his magic power was further enhanced, and the vine's restraints disappeared again. What is this? This time, Hal finally saw the truth of Eligor's strength. It was Lullaby. At this time, Eligor, who was strengthened by Lullaby's magic again, had red eyes and his expression was twisted uncontrollably, as if he was about to lose his mind. Eligor was suspended in the air, dancing with his hands, releasing a strong wind magic, Emerald Swift Strike. His hands quickly formed a huge whirlwind in the air, and the center of the whirlwind was a bright emerald green light, like a huge eye of a storm. The power of the whirlwind almost tore the surrounding air apart. The powerful storm tore apart almost all the buildings and rolled up the gravel and dust on the ground. The power of this storm is so great that it can smash everything within hundreds of meters in front, including the huge buildings in the city and the rocks on the ground. Go to hell! Eligor shouted madly. The powerful storm came out of his hands and rushed straight towards Natsu, Gray, and Urza. The storm was like a violent beast, destroying everything in its path. Just as Hal was about to make a move, he suddenly saw Natsu's magic power rising wildly. What's the matter, you also have Lullaby? Hal's eyebrows fluttered, realizing that things were not simple. At this time, Natsu was furious, with flames flashing in his eyes, and his angry emotions turned into magic to continuously raise Natsu's power. The flames in his hands condensed into a huge fireball, and the surface of the fireball burned with blazing flames. Natsu roared, "Fire Dragon's brilliant flame, burn for me!" The fireball rushed out suddenly, facing Eligor's storm. The hot flames collided with the storm, making a violent explosion. The energy of the flames and the power of the storm stirred each other, generating a huge shock wave. Blocked. How is it possible? This is almost the magic power of the Holy Ten. As the strongest candidate of the guild, Hal understood the terrifying magic power of Eligor at this time. He seemed to underestimate Zeref's demon, who could raise such a huge magic power out of thin air. Gray on the other side was not to be outdone. He quickly activated the ice make cannon. A huge cold magic shock was emitted from his hand and shot towards Eligor's storm. The huge cold shock. The shock wave collided with the storm, forming a huge ice and snowstorm area, and the surrounding air was frozen into ice crystals. The cold magic collided violently with part of the storm of Eligor, producing an even more violent shock wave. Lucy stood aside, and the scene in front of her was as shocking as the end of the world. The powerful magic impact destroyed the city and the surrounding environment. Flames and frost intertwined in the air, and the power of the storm swept everything, and buildings and trees were razed to the ground. Such a scene made her legs and feet weak, and her heart was full of shock and awe. She had never seen such a fierce magic impact, let alone experienced such a shocking battle scene. Faced with such a powerful enemy and such amazing magic, his companions still fought back without fear. Lucy had a deeper understanding of the strength and fetters of the fairy tale wizard. At this moment, the battle was about to come to an end. Urza looked at the magic impact point in front of her, and keenly discovered the flaw that would win with one blow. Change. Armor of the Sky Wheel. Dozens of swords flew out of the armor, turning into a round dance of slashing. The swords drew dazzling light in the air, bringing intensive slashing. Her attacks shuttled through the storm, and the swords cut the air at a very fast speed, forming sharp sword lights. With the collision of four powerful magics, a huge energy vortex formed in the sky. Eligor's wind magic green swift strike collided violently with Natsu's flames, Gray's cold shock, and Urza's sword slash in the air, making a deafening explosion. At this moment, Hal hurriedly used light magic to protect Lucy and Happy, looking at everything in front of him with burning eyes. Finally, the huge whirlwind was gradually swallowed by flames and frost, and finally dissipated in the air. Shock and pain appeared on Eligor's face. His powerful wind magic green swift strike was defeated, and the power of the huge storm disappeared. His body trembled violently in the air, lost control, panted, and finally fell to the ground, looking very tired, with waves of dark magic spreading from his body. At this moment, the dark magic flute Lullaby behind Eligor slipped from his waist. The flute spun and fell to the ground, emitting a cold light, which was particularly eye-catching. Hal noticed the lullaby on the ground at the first time, and he quickly rushed to the flute. Urza, Gray and Natsu Lucy also ran over, with determination in their eyes. "Hurry, don't let it cause trouble again!" Urza shouted, her eyes fixed on the flute on the ground. "Master Zeref will punish you." The voice of the flute was cold and cunning, coming from the skull head, with a chilling threat. Although the voice was weak, the threat contained in it made people feel cold. Hal's face condensed, and a trace of determination flashed in his eyes. He took a step forward, raised his foot without hesitation, and stepped hard on the skull of the flute. With a crisp cracking sound, the light of the skull was instantly extinguished, and the dark breath dissipated. The remains of the flute broke into countless pieces on the ground and completely disappeared in the wind. After the flute was broken, the air around it returned to calm. Hal and his companions breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that they had successfully prevented the threat of Lullaby to the battlefield. The battle was finally over, and the aftermath of the storm slowly subsided on the ruins of the city. Natsu and Gray lay on the ground, obviously overly tired, with their eyes slightly closed, letting their bodies relax on the ground. Natsu's face was covered with dust and blood, but despite this, there was still a satisfied smile on the corner of his mouth, obviously relieved by the victory. Gray was also exhausted, his arm resting on his forehead, his breathing was slightly rapid, and the traces of ice and snow around him had begun to melt, revealing the great fighting power of the magic he had just cast. Urza also restored her normal knight armor, and Lucy and Happy also ran over to look at everyone. Except for Lucy, everyone else was very tired. The severity of this battle was beyond their expectations. Lucy's expression revealed concern. She quickly checked the situation of Natsu and Gray, with a hint of anxiety in her eyes. Happy carefully pounced on Natsu's side and gently patted his cheek with his little paw, hoping to sober him up. "Sorry, everyone, I didn't help at all." Lucy looked at her tired companions with some self-blame. "It's okay, Lucy, this time it was my negligence. The difficulty of the battle exceeded my expectations, and it's not your fault." Hal comforted Lucy on the side. He thought too much when Eligor became so strong, which led to. There was no quick response before the situation got out of control. This is something Hal needs to reflect on seriously. Because of preconceived notions, he didn't care about the tasks during the period when Lucy joined. In his perspective, Natsu in the original plot could be easily dealt with, so now with himself and the stronger Natsu, it would be extremely easy in theory. But the situation was beyond his imagination. His arrival seemed to have caused a slight change in the world, which is the so-called butterfly effect. Chapter 22. The old man was in a hurry to get out of the city. In the distant building built in the mountains, Makarov was petrified at the moment. He received a letter from Myra 2 hours ago and learned about the team of Hal, Urza, Najgra and Lucy. In those 2 hours, he was on pins and needles. He prayed madly that Hal and the others would not destroy a city. However, the sky seemed to respond to Makarov's prayers. In the building where the guild presidents gathered, they could clearly see a huge vine chasing a wizard in the sky above the center of the city in the distance. Then, accompanied by the raging wind, a large number of buildings in the center of the city were broken, and people, dogs, and trees were blown into the air. Seeing this scene, Makarov's heart was cold. Fortunately, Makarov was relieved that several huge trees soon grew in the city center to save the people flying in the air and transmit their lives. Just when Makarov breathed a sigh of relief, a huge wave of magic quickly raised the crust of the city center by hundreds of meters, and then a fierce battle broke out above, through fire, ice and flying swords. Makarov judged that it was Urza and the others who were fighting. Not long after, huge magic collided, and the terrifying magic almost destroyed everything on the crust. Makarov was petrified when he saw this scene. The terrifying collision of magic, if you don't know, you would think that the 10 saints were fighting. Hey, it's too exaggerated, Mr. Makarov, said Goldman, the president of the Four Hounds, teasingly. Now the council should order the disbandment of Fairy Tale again, said Bob, the president of the Blue Pegasus, worriedly, with his orchid finger raised. Destruction of 1 kilometer of the city center, loss of property, and casualties of citizens. Makarov slowly calculated in his mind, then his head tilted and he fainted. Everyone surrounded him, and he was still mumbling in a coma, "This is a dream, this is a dream. It seems that the blow is a bit big now." Bob smiled helplessly, he felt extremely helpless about Makarov's condition. On the other side, Hal rested for a while and used earth magic to restore the earth's crust first, and then used tree magic to transmit life and heal the citizens. The effect was very good, most of the citizens recovered under the healing, but a very small number of people completely lost their lives. Hal's face was a little gloomy when he saw this. Seeing this, Urza came over and patted Hal on the shoulder and said, "You have done a good job. If you were not here, most of the people in this city would have been cursed and killed. Even in the best case, the number of people killed by our battle with Eligor would have been several times more than now." Hal knew this of course, but Hal also knew that if he had not come to this world, according to the original plot, the ruins under his feet would not have appeared at all, and the dead people would not have experienced the end of the world. Why, is this also the so-called butterfly effect? Then how many people will die because of my arrival? Hal's eyes couldn't help but look a little empty. People who didn't see the scene might say that Hal was not smart. But at this moment, Hal was at the center of this doomsday. The dead and crying people were telling Hal that everything was his fault. Well, you are right, Urza, thank you. Hal forced himself to regain his usual calmness and answered Urza's concern. Heart. I'll try my best to arrange the follow-up work first. Hal didn't have much to say, he just wanted to take action now. Rescue the wounded, restore the broken land, and restore the victims' homes. Hal used his magic skillfully, and it lasted for a week. Soon, the city center was restored. From the outside, it looked almost the same as before, but Hal understood that he could only restore the buildings, not the broken hearts of people. Sorry, Hal murmured to himself, and got on the train back to the guild with Urza and others. The final punishment result did not deal with Hal, and even the council sent someone to commend him. This was the reputation he had accumulated for working for the councillors in recent years. Seeing the mission report, everyone felt that Hal and others had saved the citizens of that city, and no one would blame him except himself. After that, even when he returned to the guild, Hal rested on the second floor of the guild. He kept spurring himself in his heart, and at the same time he was looking for answers from himself. My arrival killed many innocent people. Is my arrival really a good thing? Hal kept asking himself. He wanted to calm himself down. No. I came to this world, I killed a lot of people to do the commission and destroy the Dark Guild. This is my life, maybe I am sorry for them, but I can't regret it. Thinking of this, Hal's eyes gradually brightened. The most important thing is always the people you cherish around you. I want to protect my hard-earned family in this world. Hal secretly made up his mind. The whole person seemed to be sublimated, his magic power, which had not increased for a long time, was further improved, because his heart became stronger. Sure enough, the power of magic comes from the heart of people, the president is right. Feeling the changes in his body, Hal couldn't help muttering to himself. In the past, Hal's strength came from his innate talent in this world and the power brought to him by the Red Emerald. And now after experiencing these, Hal really understands that a strong heart is the root of magic. Perhaps, without this incident, I would never be able to enter this realm of magic. Hal looked at his hands and clenched his fists. At this moment, Hal has far surpassed the ordinary Saint 10. According to the standards of the fairy tale world, he should now be at the high position of the Saint 10, not counting the level of the 4 heavenly kings of Ishgar except for the god Serena. This kind of magic is very intoxicating, especially when he was doubtful in his heart a few days ago and felt weak. Now it seems that it is not an illusion. His magic at that time was really greatly reduced. The feeling of losing magic in those days was really painful, which is also the reason why he is sinking and losing himself more and more. In the final analysis, Hal is still too young. Life in the guild is very happy, but it also makes Hal idealized. Of course, there is nothing wrong with this. If this is one of the prices of coming to this world, Hal can accept it calmly. It's so painful for just a few days, then Myra's 3 years. Hal thought of Myra who lost her magic at this moment, and couldn't help feeling depressed. At this moment, he finally understood the pain and helplessness of losing magic. Hal stood in front of the stairs on the second floor, his eyes involuntarily looking at the scene below. At this moment, Myra was chatting with Wakaba Makeo, and the gentle smile on her face was as warm as ever, making the people around her feel like spring breeze. However, Hal understood that there might be unspeakable pain hidden under this smile. Listen, as death left an indelible shadow in Myra's heart. She could not forgive her arrogance in the past, taking her sister and brother to perform dangerous tasks, nor could she forgive her inability to make her sister, who was still full of enthusiasm for life, lose her smile, and she could not forgive her stupidity for letting Lysina leave this world. Maybe, we are the same, Myra. Hal whispered to himself, his eyes gently watching Myra who was busy. Unconsciously, the girl's smile became one of his expectations when he returned to the guild. No, you are much stronger than me. Hal smiled as he muttered to himself. He turned around and continued to sort out the task list on the second floor, which was one of Myra's jobs. At this moment, Myra seemed to feel a trace of sight from the second floor. She looked up in the direction of Hal and saw him turning around. Was Hal looking at me just now? The girl couldn't help but feel a little doubtful and expectant. Miss Myra, 2 glasses of beer, thank you. A guild member greeted her familiarly. Okay. Myra responded enthusiastically, still keeping that gentle smile. Her gentle smile was not only a welcome to the guild members, but also her deep commitment to life and compensation for her sister. Chapter 23. The first time, the second floor of the guild, Hal skillfully marked the task commission of Laxus as completed. At this time, Laxus on the opposite side looked at Hal with a puzzled look. When did you do this job? Recently. This job is also quite interesting, isn't it? Hal looked at him with a smile, his hands kept busy. Okay, go find the president or Myra to get the commissioned bounty. Hal was wearing a pair of black-framed glasses at this time, showing that he was working seriously. Since the last increase in magic power, Hal has thought a lot, and the first thing to bear is to help Myra share some work. After all, he is too idle. As for the strongest team, Hal decided to go on missions with them as little as possible, and he would not go to the so-called plot if he could avoid it, mainly because it seemed that something unexpected would happen if he went. For example, the missions of rescuing Makeo and sneaking into the Ikuba mansion to steal books, which Hal had not participated in before, were all based on the story of the plot, and there was no difference. Moreover, with Hal's current magic power, he would not be able to give Natsu and Lucy the opportunity to exercise, especially Lucy. Therefore, he decided that it would be best to give Natsu and others enough opportunities to exercise in order to prepare for the various crises that the guild will face in the future. When it is time to take action, Hal will naturally take action, such as what may happen next, such as the ghost. Although Hal does not remember the plot, he has a vague impression that the guild will usher in a war in the near future. Before that, Hal only needs to stay in the guild, and no one can break the guild with him in charge. As for the last allegory incident, Hal was only assisting everyone throughout the whole process, and only started to take it seriously when things were beyond his control, and was even beaten by Urza and others. However, in the end, the magic power of Natsu and others was indeed stronger, and they were indeed trained, so Hal got what he wanted. This kind of work is a waste of your strength, Hal. Next time go out and shock the garbage outside with me. There are still people who say that fairy tale is just a name in vain. Laxus turned his head and suddenly said to Hal, his tone manic. Hal looked at Laxus with some surprise. The two rarely met in the past few years, and Laxus rarely returned to the guild. Unexpectedly, the person he admired at the time became so extreme without knowing it. Isn't Myra also doing this kind of work? I just want to help everyone in the guild now. Hal explained to Laxus briefly, and Hal didn't say anything more. It's impossible to tell Laxus that he had an ominous premonition that the guild would have a big war. That useless woman can only do this kind of work, but you are different, Hal. The magic power in you will undoubtedly take fairy tale to a higher level and make the world in awe. Laxus' words were full of disdain, and his expression was full of obvious sarcasm and contempt. Shut up, Laxus, what's wrong with Myra's work? Besides, we don't need to be in awe of the world. We are who we are. Protecting our family is the most important thing, isn't it? Hal's face sank when he heard Laxus' words that belittled Myra, and he refuted Laxus. This was the first time Hal was angry with Laxus since they met, and the atmosphere between the two became visibly tense. Laxus's face suddenly sank when he heard Hal's response, and a trace of anger flashed between his eyebrows. Golden thunder appeared all around. You seem to have forgotten who is the strongest in fairy tale. You are very confident, even a little arrogant, Laxus. In my eyes now, you are far from the strongest. Hal's magic power also gradually surged with his words, and the terrifying magic power gradually distorted the atmosphere near Hal. Oh? Hal, it seems that I didn't let you suffer less a few years ago. It was 5 years ago. Are you still living in the past? The atmosphere between the two began to become tense. The terrifying magic power even affected the people in the lobby on the first floor. The noisy lobby suddenly became quiet, and everyone turned their eyes to the second floor. The guild members felt the strong magic fluctuations from upstairs, and everyone held their breath involuntarily, with a nervous look. The atmosphere in the hall seemed to solidify, and even the most enthusiastic members became quiet, with their eyes full of worry and uneasiness. Some members whispered, but their voices were almost swallowed by the oppressive atmosphere, leaving only low muttering. Myra tried to walk to the stairs, but forced by the oppressive feeling, it was almost impossible to take a step. The decorations in the hall also trembled slightly due to the fluctuation of magic power, as if they could be torn at any time. Don't stop. This is the guild. Makarov's golden magic power appeared downstairs, and the warm magic power permeated the hall. The members of the guild breathed a sigh of relief. Hee, the garbage downstairs was affected. Forget it, Hal, I don't want to be scolded by the old man of the president. At this point, Laxus swung his cloak and turned into lightning and disappeared on the spot. With his departure, the magic fluctuations on the second floor gradually subsided, and the oppressive feeling in the air began to dissipate. The guild members in the hall finally dared to relax. Many people took a deep breath to relieve the tension in their hearts. Laxus, what have you been through recently? You couldn't say such words in the past. After Laxus left, facing the empty second floor, Hal couldn't help but feel uncomfortable and muttered to himself. Laxus took the initiative to mention the victory over Hal 5 years ago, and Hal felt even more uncomfortable. He was not suffering from the previous failure, but from the fact that the people he once admired, his family, had become unfamiliar and disgusted. Hal walked downstairs and walked to the hall that had become unusually quiet due to the fluctuations of their magic power. He looked at the worried expressions on the faces of the guild members, and his heart was inevitably a little complicated. But he knew that he needed to ease this tense atmosphere. Don't worry, everyone, it's just a quarrel. Hal tried to say to the guild members in the hall in a relaxed tone. There was a hint of gentle smile in his voice, hoping to ease everyone's tension. It's just because the amount of the settlement commission was less when I was working, Laxus and I had a few arguments, don't worry too much. Hal tried to make his tone seem natural and relaxed. Although he knew that the dispute between him and Laxus was actually more serious than he said, he also understood that the stability of the guild needed to be maintained now. After hearing Hal's words, the members in the hall gradually relaxed a little. Although they were still a little worried, their faces gradually showed some relaxed expressions. Several people began to talk in a low voice, and the atmosphere became a little more relaxed. Myra came over, and the worry in her eyes was hard to hide. She knew Hal and Laxus, and knew that things were not as simple as Hal said. Hal, are you okay? Myra's voice was full of concern, and her eyes were gentle and full of worry. Hal felt a little warm in his heart when he saw Myra like this. He knew that Myra was not only concerned about his physical condition, but also worried about his inner feelings. Hal smiled slightly, trying to make himself look more relaxed. Myra, I'm fine. Hal replied gently, trying to make his tone look relaxed. Laxus and I just have some disagreements, it's no big deal. Myra looked at Hal's smile, and her heart was still a little uneasy, but she knew Hal's strength and patience. He has always been the pillar supporting everyone in the guild, and he always tries to stay calm even in the face of great challenges. I know you are strong, but sometimes, suppressing your emotions too much can also hurt you. Myra whispered, if you need any help, or just want to talk to someone, I'll be here. Hal felt Myra's warmth and care, and the heaviness in his heart was slightly relieved. He nodded and looked at Myra gratefully. Thank you, Myra. Your support is very important to me. Hal said sincerely, I will talk to the president about Laxus first. I have done the work on the second floor. I will come to you when things are clear. After that, Hal gently reached out and gently touched Myra's hair. His movements were delicate and soft, as if he was soothing the uneasiness and worry in her heart. Myra's cheeks flushed slightly. She felt Hal's warmth and care, and a sweet touch surged in her heart. After comforting Myra, Hal walked to the president, paused, and looked at the old man in front of him. President, in the 6 months since I left, Laxus seems to have changed a lot. What happened to him? Makarov sighed, with deep worry in his eyes. Alas, Laxus's change may be related to Ivan. Ivan, my son who was once expelled from the guild, he has some information that is unfavorable to fairy tale, and he has also fallen into the abyss of darkness. This darkness seems to have spread to Laxus. Hearing this, Hal's expression became more solemn. He lowered his head and said, I'm so sorry, but Ivan, your son, how did he influence Laxus so much? Yes. Makarov's tone was full of self-blame. Ivan's betrayal has put us in trouble, and Laxus has recently begun to resist me. All this is related to my failure to fulfill my responsibilities. Hal looked at President Makarov and saw deep helplessness and heartache on his weather-beaten face. Makarov's eyes were full of traces of time, and the wrinkles between his eyebrows seemed to tell the complex emotions in his heart. President Grandpa, Don't blame yourself. You have always worked hard for the guild. Hal's voice was full of concern. Laxus's changes are not entirely your responsibility. Besides, the darkness of people's hearts is difficult to predict, especially for someone like Ivan. Makarov sighed deeply, his eyes dim and tired. His hands trembled slightly, as if he was enduring the pain in his heart. His voice was a little hoarse. I once hoped that my son and grandson would inherit my beliefs and protect this guild, but things have come to this point. He raised his head and looked around the guild hall, which was once full of laughter and joy, but now it seemed a little heavy because of internal disputes. There was a trace of deep pain in his voice. Ivan's betrayal has put our entire family in trouble. Laxus's changes make me feel extremely sad. As a grandfather, seeing my grandson lose his inner light is really unbearable. Hal looked at Makarov's face full of vicissitudes and helplessness, and couldn't help feeling sad. Makarov's efforts for the guild have long surpassed the level that ordinary people can understand. Although he has tried his best, some things are still difficult to control. Please don't blame yourself too much, Grandpa President. Hal said softly, no matter what happens, you are the pillar of our guild. Your persistence and dedication have helped the guild overcome many difficulties. We will face the next challenge together. Besides, Brother Laxus is just a little extreme, and the situation may not be that bad. Makarov took a deep breath, and a trace of gratitude flashed in his eyes. He nodded and tried to calm himself down. Thank you, Hal. I feel very relieved to have your support. Chapter 24. The two of them had a long conversation. In the guild, everyone slowly returned to the noisy scene before, and Lucy also came back to her senses and walked to the bar to chat with Myra. Myra, good morning. It was really scary just now. The quarrel between the strongest candidates was really scary. Lucy patted her full chest, sighed and greeted Myra. Good morning, Lucy. Sometimes such things happen, after all, even family members will quarrel. Myra comforted Lucy. Really? Lucy's eyes dimmed when she heard it. She thought of her father who ignored her daughter's happiness for money. She had just had a big quarrel with her father and decided to leave that home. Lucy, good morning. Happy and Natsu also came over. It was rare today that they did not come to the guild together. Lucy, I always feel like I forgot to say something important to you. What is it? Hey. I forgot. It seems to be Lucy, disgusting, drilling holes and so on. Happy began to use his little head to recall. Shut up, dead cat. Why do you associate these words with me? Too much. Lucy began to turn into a devil face and shouted at Happy. Well, I remember, it's this. Happy suddenly remembered something and took out a golden key and waved it at Lucy. The key of the zodiac. It's Virgo. Isn't this the star spirit of the disgusting old man in Elba's mansion last time? Great. Hey. Elba was captured, Barag asked me to give you my key. Happy explained to Lucy. Give it to me, give it to me. No, you were just scolding me, that's too much. I'm sorry, Mr. Happy, I was wrong. I'll forgive you for 2 meals of the guild's special dried fish. Deal. Lucy decisively agreed to Happy's request and happily took the key from Baluge. Why are you so excited, Lucy? This star spirit doesn't look delicious at all. Star spirits are not edible. Lucy complained and shook her head. Besides, the keys of the zodiac are very precious. Each key has a unique power and meaning. I have always dreamed of collecting all the keys of the zodiac. This is not only a wish of mine, but also one of my goals to become an excellent wizard. Her eyes were shining, full of vision for the future and firm determination. Hey! Natsu looked at Lucy with some surprise. Open the door of Virgo, Baluge. Lucy summoned Baluge soon. As the spell fell, a breeze blew, and Baluge gradually appeared in the space. She was petite, about 1.6 meters tall, with short pink hair that was neat and tidy, shining with a warm luster. She was wearing a neat-made outfit, with a lightly swaying skirt, and delicate lace trims on the neckline and cuffs. She wore iron handcuffs on her wrists, which looked a bit heavy, but her demeanor still looked relaxed. There was a hint of mischief and tenderness in Baluge's eyes, and she smiled with a hint of confidence. She landed lightly from the air, like a petal gently falling on the ground, giving people a feeling of elegance and freshness. Nice to meet you, Miss Lucy. Baluge's voice was sweet and magnetic, just right to show her maid style and affinity. She bowed gently and waited for Lucy's instructions. So beautiful. Lucy was shocked. She had always thought that the Virgo star spirit was the dinosaur girl she saw. That's to cater to the master's fetish. If you like it the way it was before, I can change back. As he said that, Barg instantly turned into a 2.8-meter tall strong girl. Forget it, it's better to be the real one. Okay, master. Can you not call me master? Then what should I call you? Barg tilted her head to express doubt. Let me think about it. Just change a name that suits my temperament. Okay, princess. Can you punish me? Hey, Lucy, do you still have this fetish? Natsu whispered on the side. Of course not. She was talking to herself. Not punishing me, princess. Barg looked very disappointed and drooped her head. Okay, go back. Lucy was a little resentful. No punishment? I really want to see it. Natsu turned his head away in disappointment. Don't expect anything weird. While the two young lovers were still bickering. At that moment, the door of the guild was opened, and then Lucy fainted in Natsu's arms. Lucy? What? Natsu was about to ask, but he also fainted, and the two hugged each other and lay on the ground. Just like that, the members of the guild fell to the ground like mushrooms after rain, and a man wearing a cloak and a mask, carrying several large staffs on his back walked in. At this time, Hal's staff appeared in his hand, emitting a faint light, instantly waking up Myra who was about to fall asleep. Hal? What's wrong? Nothing, Mr. Gang is back. At this time, Mr. Gang walked to the president, gestured slightly, and then skillfully tore off a commission, waved his hand and slowly left. I'm leaving. Nonsense, why don't you remove the magic? Looking at Miss Dong Ang's back, the president reprimanded him while holding back his sleepiness. Don't worry, with Hal here, Mr. Gang said this and left the guild. This guy, it's enough. Hal complained helplessly, and the staff in his hand emitted a golden light. The fallen people woke up one after another, not knowing what happened. This feeling, is it Mr. Gang? The old members felt this strange magic and situation, and they all knew that the mysterious strongest candidate of the guild was back. Lucy also woke up from her sleep, and saw Natsu holding something tightly in his hands, with a happy smile on his face, as if he really entered a sweet dream. What a big steamed bun! Natsu muttered in his dream, looking very satisfied. Hey, Natsu! Lucy's cheeks were slightly red. At this time, Natsu was grabbing her soft spot. She couldn't help but call Natsu in a low voice. At this time, Natsu was still in his sleep, and his head arched forward. I'm hungry, eat steamed buns, amu. Natsu chewed the invisible delicacy in his dream, and a satisfied expression appeared at the corner of his mouth. Ah! Lucy screamed in pain and slapped Natsu away with a slap. Natsu did a 360-degree spin in the air and landed heavily. When he woke up, he looked at Lucy with a puzzled look. At this time, Lucy's cheeks were as red as ripe apples, with shame and anger intertwined on her face, and there was still a trace of water stains on her clothes. Her eyes flashed with sparks of anger, but she couldn't hide her cheeks that were flushed due to the sudden close contact. What's wrong, Lucy? How did I fall asleep just now and dream of a super soft big steamed bun? Natsu wiped the saliva from the corner of his mouth in confusion, with a bit of confusion in his eyes. Stupid Natsu! Seeing Natsu's ignorant appearance, Lucy was so ashamed that she couldn't bear it anymore and ran out of the guild in a hurry. Her movements were flustered and hurried, her skirt fluttered in the wind, and the blush on her face was particularly conspicuous in the sun, as if she wanted to release her mood into the air. What's wrong? What's wrong? The people in the guild didn't see what happened just now, and they all asked curiously. Natsu, did you make Lucy angry? Elfman noticed the red slap marks on Natsu's face and asked with concern. Damn, who knows? I was sleeping soundly just now, but I was woken up by Lucy. It hurts so much. Natsu covered his face angrily and sat at the bar with a look of dissatisfaction. At this time, Myra in front of the bar and Hal who came to watch couldn't help but look at Natsu with an ant's smile. Why are you looking at me like this, Hal? Myra. Natsu looked at the two with a puzzled look, feeling puzzled. Nothing, just feeling, Natsu, you are quite happy. Myra and Hal waved their hands and explained with a smile. What? You're just saying something incomprehensible. Myra, get me some ice cubes. It hurts so much. I don't know what happened to Lucy. Natsu grabbed some ice cubes and asked Myra to help wrap them around his face, then turned around and chased after him. Ah, that's great, Natsu. Myra's smile was full of warmth, and Hal nodded gently, secretly giving Mr. Gang a thumbs up in his heart. It seems that Mr. Ng's return is not a bad thing, at least he played an assist. It's just a bit sour. What's sour, Hal? Nothing, it's just a pity that I stood too far away just now. Far away? Yeah, the magic made you wake up too slowly. Hal touched his nose and looked up at the ceiling. Is that so? Then we should be closer. Myra's voice was a little naughty, she smiled slightly, and leaned towards Hal, and their hands were almost close together. Ah! You're right, Myra, Mr. Gang always comes back too suddenly, it's time to be closer. Help you with your work. Okay. Hal continued to touch his nose, public. The members of the club could not see clearly from behind the bar, but the faces of the two people behind the bar were getting redder and redder, and the work in their hands was getting slower and slower. Elfman, come and help us get some beer and send it over. Sister. Nothing, just a little bit of work at the bar today, please. There was a hint of nervousness in Myra's voice, and she tried her best to hide her heartbeat. Okay sister, leave it to me. Manly. Elfman ran out with full energy, not noticing that Hal and Myra's shoulders were gradually approaching, until their palms gently touched and their fingers were slightly interlocked. Myra's heartbeat was as rapid as a deer's, she turned her head to look at Hal, her face flushed lightly, and her eyes flashed with indescribable shyness and sweetness. Hal avoided Myra's gaze, his face was also stained with red, his voice trembling slightly, nothing, just hold tighter, the magic will be released faster. The two interlocked their fingers, feeling each other's warmth and delicate touch, as if time had frozen at this moment. The first hand-holding between the boy and the girl was as gentle as the breeze of early spring, with a faint haziness and sweetness. The throbbing and warmth in their hearts were intertwined at this moment, which seemed so beautiful and precious. Their heartbeats became more and more rapid in this intimate contact, and the warmth of each other seemed to be silently telling the inner feelings. The window of the guild was opened at some point, and the breeze blew, as if adding a bit of romance to their sweetness. Chapter 25. The two of them had a very happy ending. That night, Hal was still busy working with Myra, when suddenly, the frog messenger of the council arrived. Hal was called to go to the council branch to receive the reward and process report for the previous allegory incident. Hal was a little confused at first, but then he realized that this was the reward for the task he had done with the old men of the council. Before X784, Hal's name was not known to the outside world. The outside world only knew Hal's title of Nature Controller. His reason was that the council did not want Fairy Tale to be too famous, because Hal's strength and reputation in the magic world were too high. On the other hand, Prisco protested against the council. Prisco made it clear that Hal's name was exactly the same as the prince who had disappeared in Prisco for 400 years. It seemed that the prince 400 years ago also had a high reputation among the people of Persia today. This matter puzzled Hal, especially the Persian matter, but Hal was very angry about the council's repeated unfair assessment of Hal and Fairy Tale. He decided to solve this matter first and then deal with the problem on Prisco's side. So Hal found Mr. Yajima to discuss. Yajima told Hal to complete the long-standing backlog of tasks in the council, some of which the council had promised but could not do or had no time to do now. The backlog of these tasks made the outside world very dissatisfied with the council. If Hal took the initiative to complete these tasks, the remaining 9 councillors would not be able to continue to target Hal and the guild. In this way, he could strive for a place for the Fairy Tale Guild to be promoted to the Holy 10. In this way, the guild would naturally not be constrained by too many councils. So, Hal has been helping the council to complete their target tasks one after another since 5 years ago, and the last time he worked for half a year. Now, finally, the council is going to fulfill their promise, and Hal is very happy. As we all know, there are only 8 Saint Tens, including all the Saint Tens who have appeared. So that night, Hal left the guild under the discussion of everyone in the guild. President, Hal looks very happy, what happened? Myra walked up to Makarov and asked curiously. This kid has finally been rewarded for what he has been doing silently since 5 years ago, of course he is happy. Makarov replied with a smile. 5 years? Myra repeated in surprise. Yes, he completed the tasks that the council had been backlogging for 5 years for our guild. Makarov nodded, revealing a relieved smile. On the other side, Natsu chased Lucy to her house, but Lucy angrily put a sign on the door saying Natsu and the blue cat are not allowed to enter and even drew a picture as a warning. Looks like she's really angry this time. Hey, Lucy is always like this, but you're wrong too, Natsu, you actually treat Lucy as food. If it were me, I'd be angry too. We have to think of a way. By the way, what does Lucy like? Let's give it to her and apologize. Hey, Lucy likes the celestial spirit key and novels. Key. I remember there was a zodiac key in the order sheet on the second floor. I saw it when Myra was sorting out the order sheets this morning. Hey. But we can't go up to the second floor. This is a good opportunity to prove my strength to Hal and Grandpa, and to coax Lucy. Hey. So Natsu and Happy took advantage of the president being drunk and Myra being busy to return to the guild, sneak up to the second floor of the guild, and run away with Lucy that night. The name of the mission is Save Karna Island. It was 3 hours later when Myra found out and reported to the president. What? The commission for Karna Island disappeared. Makarov, who was drinking, spit out a mouthful of old wine and sobered up suddenly. What's going on, Laxus? Aren't you on the second floor? The president immediately asked Laxus, who was resting on the second floor. I only saw a blue little thief cat flying by, ha 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 ha. Laxus responded to Makarov with a nonchalant tone and arrogant laughter. At this time, everyone in the hall was talking. Hey? Natsu and Happy ran off to do S-level missions. But how did they avoid Hal's light magic perception? Stupid Arzuk, wasn't Hal called away by the messenger of the council in the evening? That means these two. The idiot had planned it all along. Makarov couldn't help but get anxious. He liked Natsu very much and didn't want him to lose his life, even if it violated the rules of the guild. Laxus. Go and bring them both back. Don't you have Hal? Let him go. I still have commissions to do later. Ha 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 ha. Remember to wait for Natsu to come back and expel him from the guild. Laxus answered provocatively, and then turned into lightning and disappeared on the second floor platform. Damn it, Laxus. Makarov's face was gloomy, and he couldn't help but scolded. Old man, let me go. Although it's a little late, I promise to catch that brat back. Gray stood up and promised solemnly. So Gray set off on the train at dawn and dusk. He was sure that Natsu, the brat, would take the dragon carriage and get to Harjan before them to stop him. Dozens of minutes after Gray left, Urza had just returned to the guild. After hearing about Natsu, the brat, she immediately packed her luggage and prepared to catch up. Just then, Hal came back. He had already reached the reward he wanted with the council and rushed back quickly with magic. Seeing Urza's anxious look, Hal hurried forward to stop her and learned about what happened. He looked at Urza's full of luggage and smiled bitterly. No need to pack so much luggage. Now that I'm back, I can use magic to send you there. When you get there, you can judge whether Natsu can perform this mission. Iluza looked at Hal gratefully, with a strong sense of regret in her tone. Thank you, Hal, you really helped a lot. Natsu, this brat, is really worrying. Hal patted her shoulder gently and said seriously, I'll leave it to you this time, Urza. There is something important tonight, and I can't go there in person. I'll leave Natsu and Gray's matter to you, I believe you can handle it. Hal looked at Urza, and suddenly thought of something and added seriously, by the way, Urza, I've seen that mission before. According to the information from the council, the root cause of this incident is likely to be caused by a group of northern people transferring the demons from the frozen Zeref. Urza nodded, with a flash of surprise in her eyes. Zerf's demons? Okay, I understand. Hal cast tree magic, and the huge vines lightly sent Urza to the target location. Before leaving, Hal looked at her back and suddenly recalled some things in this plot. In this case, if nothing unexpected happens, the Phantom's rats will attack the guild tonight. Hal's eyes suddenly turned cold, and a red light flashed in his pupils. Even if he couldn't remember most of the plot, he couldn't allow his family to be hurt. He decided to give the ghost children who came to visit Fairy Tale a little punishment and shock.